We're east of the riverbed. And we're taking fire from the west. Roger, stand by, we're popping smoke.
This is Project Warrior, Episode 4. I am Manny Singh. My guest today is a non-commissioned officer in the 1st Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment. He's a notable member of the unit who has taught many courses and enabled the learning of many young leaders, including myself. He's a recipient of the Medal of Military Valor. He has served in in many theaters, Bosnia, Afghanistan, and Ukraine, and yet again prepares for expeditionary operations with the 1st Battalion. He is a father, a husband, a soldier, a leader, and a powerful human being. Please welcome Warrant Officer Jeremy LeBlanc. Thank you for coming online, Warrant.
Thanks for having me, man. That's high praise.
Oh, you know what? I think you deserve it.
Thank you.
And I'm really excited to bring you on here and to share who you are and the powerful person that people like Rick Beckford describe you to be. And I think it's an honest description. So without further ado, well, let's get right into it. Let's talk about what's your current role right now.
So right now I am the platoon 2IC for 5 platoon, call sign 2-2. So we call ourselves the Double Deuce.
Hey, Bravo Company.
Bravo Company.
Right on. Yeah. So when did you get rolled over here?
I just got rolled over recently, maybe a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fresh in the company.
Fresh in the company. Before that we were in 7 platoon. I say we because me and the captain came over together as a package.
Right on.
So
it's good they kept that unit cohesion.
Yeah. We kind of know how each other operates and we work pretty well together, I think. So should be good.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So Warrant, tell me about yourself, man. Like as much as you can.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with where were you born and where'd you grow up?
All right. I was born in Lethbridge, Alberta. A little town in southern Alberta, maybe 2 hours from the border. Born in 1979. Grew up a few years there, maybe till around kindergarten, and then we went out east to Montreal. My dad's from Quebec originally. That's where the LeBlanc comes from.
Okay.
Went out to Montreal, did a couple years there. Then moved out back west to a little town called Milk River, which is a little bit closer to the U.S. border, maybe halfway between Lethbridge and the border. From there, we moved a few years later to Colhurst, Alberta, where I graduated high school. Graduating class of like 30 kids. Small town high school. Pretty interesting. and then about the year 2000, that's when I signed up for the Army.
Right on. So when was the military like an idea in your head?
So it's always been in there, right? We were always watching movies like Platoon and Hamburger Hill and Full Metal Jacket and Top Gun and stuff like that. So like
Tom Cruise.
That Tom Cruise, man.
Gets everybody.
If it weren't for my poor math skills, I'd be a fighter pilot right now.
Oh man.
Math is not the strong suit. Yeah, so it was always something we did, right? Like we played guns in the neighborhood and everything. Like pick up a stick, turn it into a gun. Like it's always been in the back of my mind. So when we graduated high school, didn't want to go to post-secondary school right away because a lot of my friends were going and they were just taking like something that would get them a career, but not something that they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So they were going and spending a lot of money on student loans, and going into debt to get an education in something that they weren't necessarily interested in. But I didn't want to do that. So I was like, well, we'll take a couple years off and we'll figure out exactly what we're going to do. And about 2 years into that, somebody came up to me and they were like, hey, it's only 8 more years until the 10-year high school reunion. What have you been up to? Well, I've been working at a gas station. I guess I need to do something. So I decided to go for the adventure and signed up for the Army. Yeah.
And when you signed up for the Army, were you pretty intent on going infantry then? Or was it like pilot was the first thing option on your application?
If we back up to like maybe my grade 11, I was like, let's be a fighter pilot.
Okay.
So we called up, I keep saying we. I called up a recruiter and I was like, hey, how do I get to be a fighter pilot? And he was like, oh, you got to go to RMC, right? So to get an RMC, you need an 80% average in math. You need an 80% average in physics. You need an 80% average in chemistry, and that's just to apply. That doesn't even mean you'll get in. So do that once you have that, call me back. Say, cool. So I start taking physics, but our school is so small, we didn't have a physics program, right? So you had to do it through something called distance learning.
Okay.
So it would send you the package. You would do it. If you had questions, you could phone on a teacher.
This is back in the day.
This is back in the day. No internet.
No internet.
Well, okay, we had internet,
Okay.
but it was like dial up. You weren't getting like,
You're getting mailed this
you're
stuff.
getting mailed a package in the mail.
And you're mailing it back.
You're at school trying to do it in a 40-minute period.
Oh my God.
Right. So that didn't work out for me. I failed miserably at physics. So that the fighter pilot dream sort of took off and left.
Like Tom Cruise.
Like Tom Cruise does. Yeah. So when we went to the recruiting center after that, well, the other movies we were watching were, if it wasn't Top Gun, it was Platoon and Hamburger Hill and Full Metal Jacket and all that. Those cool 80s, like Navy SEALs and stuff like that. Like all those cool 80s action movies. So, yeah, we wrote down infantry 3 times. Right?
Option 1, infantry.
Option 2, infantry.
Option 3, infantry.
Infantry. So we did all the tests, right? We did the physical, we did the aptitude test, and then I go in for the interview, and the captain that interviewed me, he's like, "Listen, man, you scored pretty good on your aptitude test. You could be almost anything. Would you like to look at some other options?" Nope. No, thank you. Just infantry. Well, just look at this other one. So they showed me combat engineer video. And it's a video. It's like it's a tape. It's not a CD. It's not a DVD. It's not a Blu-ray. It wasn't like a digital. It was a cassette tape. Here's your cassette tape. Go in the other room and watch this.
Yeah.
Slide it in the VCR. And the 80s guitar riff plays, and the cornflake comes up, and then the beaver comes up, the combat engineer beaver, and then the next scene is a soldier poking at a mine with a stick in the mud. I was like, no, thank you.
Nope.
Eject, hand that back. I don't want to do that. Let's just go infantry. So yeah, we ended up being in the infantry.
Right on.
Yeah.
So do you remember what going through training was like back then? This is what year, 2000?
Yeah, this is 2000.
Pre 9/11.
Pre 9/11. Yeah.
So war wasn't even like a concept.
War wasn't even a concept. What else wasn't even a concept? All kinds of things weren't concepts.
Yeah,
You know what
for
I mean?
sure.
Like, harassment wasn't a concept, and gender equality wasn't a concept.
Yeah.
And like all this stuff.
2020 wasn't happening.
2020 was not happening. Hashtag Me Too was not a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right. So you went to training, and it wasn't Full Metal Jacket, which is what I had prepared for, but it was interesting and challenging.
Right on. So you're going through your training and stuff. You get to the RCR battle school. Did you have any idea what the RCR were? Did you choose a regiment? Did you choose a battalion?
No. So how it worked in 2000 was when you did all your testing at the recruiting center, they put you on a list. So your aptitude score and your physical test score will put you on a list in the order of how well you did. So if the PPCLI were like, we need 30 infantry privates, they would take the top 30 off the list. So if you were one of the top 30, you got a call and a job offer to go be in the PPCLI. If you didn't take the job, we would put you on the bottom of the list. You would have to wait until you work your way back up for the next job offer. So once I was done at the recruiting center, obviously I was going to go PPCLI because I'm from out west. So I went home. I put in my 2 weeks notice at the gas station. I went home and told my mom I'm joining the Army. And then 6 months passed. I was out of money. Mom was asking where the rent was. And then the RCR called. Would you like a job with the Royal Canadian Regiment? Yes, please. I need the money. Let's go. So we ended up being in the RCR.
Right
Didn't
on.
know what an RCR was. Didn't know where they were. Didn't know what a Petawawa was. Just like, yeah, let's go. I've been waiting for a while.
Like many of us.
I'll take
Peta
it.
what?
Peta who now?
Yeah. Okay, so you get the battalion.
Yeah.
What was that kind of like? You got to a mech battalion.
To a mech battalion. So at the time, this battalion was a light battalion.
Okay.
Because 3 RCR was getting ready to go on their road to Bosnia. So they took all the vehicles and they took all the drivers. That's how I ended up in 1 RCR because I was really supposed to go to 3 RCR.
Okay.
If you look on my NPRR, I'm actually in 3 RCR for 1 day.
Oh, really? For 1 day.
Which reminds me, I have to go and put that on my RSM's info sheet that I was in 3 RCR for 1 day, so you can't say that I've never been in any other battalion.
Right on.
Right. So I was in one of three or here for one day, and then they traded us over here for all the drivers. So we ended up coming over here to a mech battalion that was in a light role at the time. So it was interesting. They had just come back from Kosovo, and what they had prepared us for in battle school was not what we had walked into when we got here.
What do you mean?
So what they would have prepared us for was that when you get to the battalion, if you mess up, they're going to take you out back, beat you up. Well, better not mess up. And then we got here and we realized that they weren't going to do that. No one's going to beat you up. They might beat you up, but probably not. Probably not at work.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people weren't happy to be at work. They were just upset, bitter, like they had enough. Right? The Kosovo tour didn't do it for them. They didn't want to. So there was kind of a downer attitude about it. But once all those guys released or they moved on, then it picked up after that.
You kind of made room.
Yeah.
For a lot of new batch of people.
You get to see the full spectrum of attitudes as you looked around the platoon area, right? You saw that the dude who wanted to be there and versus the dude who was like, F this, I'm getting out.
And you were seeing that in your first experiences in battalion.
Yeah, your first like 10 minutes in the platoon area, you were seeing the full gamut of it.
Wow. So like these guys come back from Kosovo, a lot of them get out. There's I guess a lot of room here for new people to join. At that time in your career, what was happening? Were you guys gearing up for deployment too?
The only deployment on the horizon was Bosnia.
Okay.
So we were kind of getting ready for Bosnia, and the word on the street was like the best company from the battalion is going to go. So there was a little bit of a rivalry between the three companies, right? And you had Charles Company at the time, who was calling themselves Charles Commando. It was commanded by Major Nash. I don't know what he retired as, but maybe Lieutenant Colonel Nash. But Major Nash at the time was the OC, and he was a pretty gung-ho character, right? He had a lot of fun. Charles Company had a lot of fun. They were the company to be in. And you had Duke's Company, not the company to be in. There's always one company that's not the company to be in.
Yeah.
And there's always one company that's the company to be in, and then there's one that's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So Bravo was the one that was somewhere in the middle.
Right on.
So for some reason we got picked to go to Bosnia.
Bravo.
Yeah, Bravo.
So you were Bravo back then too?
I was a Bravo back then.
Okay.
Yeah, so back home. So I think it was something we did in the field, right? We had mech'd up by that point. We had labs. We were doing work in the field, and we got tagged to go to Bosnia. So we're on the way to Bosnia. All right, cool. And then 9/11 happens, and
can you tell me about that? Like, where were you when that went down?
So we were on PT, and then home to have a shower, right? So you walk in to your shacks, turn on the TV, and you sort of just throw it on whatever, and then you walk away and get ready to go to work. And I can hear it in the background, like something's going on. So we turn to CNN, and the World Trade Center's on fire, but I have to be at work in 5 minutes. So, okay, cool. Turn it off, leave. Come to work, and at the time I was on a basic machine gun course. So we're in the classroom, like a classroom just like this, doing our machine gun stuff. And we had this character in the company named Chad Hawthorne. And he used to make up these fantastic rumors.
Okay.
And like the thing about a good rumor is it's got some element of truth to it, right? So if it's a little bit believable, you can take it and run with it, and you can see how fast it spreads. Right?
So he was in charge of the rumor mill.
He was the chief of the rumor mill.
Okay.
And he had the best rumors. But eventually, after a while, everybody catches on that Chad Hawthorne's full of shit. And you're not supposed to listen to the rumors. So if he tells you that we're getting off early on Friday, you're probably not. It's not happening. So he's the one that came busting in the doorway and was like, dude, another plane just flew into the other tower. And we're like, shut up, Chad. We're trying to do, this is a course we're running. Go away. He leaves, frustrated, obviously, because now he's telling the truth. And he comes back a few minutes later, like, one of the towers collapsed. And we're like, no, like none of this is happening. You're making up stuff. You're Chad Hawthorne. You're the rumor mill guy. He's frustrated and he leaves. He comes back. The other tower just collapsed. And we're like, no, it's bullshit. And then I don't know who came in after that, but they were like, yeah, shut her down. We're all on like 4 hours notice to move. We got to marshal all the vehicles. We got to get all this stuff ready. We got to like pack your shit. We're going somewhere. We don't
this is
know
getting
where.
real.
Now it's getting real. And they're like, yeah, the World Trade Center has been attacked by terrorists, and there's planes in the Pentagon, and there's planes down here, and we're like, oh shit, now it's real. So yeah, we drag the TVs out and we start watching the news, and it's a surreal situation.
So where'd your career go from that moment?
So we went to Bosnia. I was a corporal at the time.
Sorry, could you, like, for anybody listening, like the young guys and stuff who might not be familiar with the Bosnia deployments, what was kind of happening in Bosnia?
So you want the whole Bosnia theater, or do you want my roto?
If you could give us a general snippet of the whole theater and then just tell us about your roto.
So Bosnia is a fraction of what's called the former Republic of Yugoslavia. So after the collapse of communism, Yugoslavia was sort of held together by communism, right? Once they collapsed, it sort of fell apart into these different ethnic regions, right? So you had Serbia, Bosnia, and Croatia. But in their fight for independence from each other, they started ethnic cleansing and all kinds of terrible atrocities and stuff. And it started as a UN mission, right? It was called UNPRO 4, and we'd gone in and tried to separate everything. And eventually it turned into more than the UNPRO 4 could handle, so they changed it to a NATO mission. So if you remember in the 90s, the Americans were bombing Serbia, right? So that was the NATO push to have everybody separated. Once everybody was separated, then they put in NATO forces to keep everyone separated, and then it turned into a stabilization mission.
Okay.
That, right? So it had its intense moments early on, but now it's Roto 13 when we're going, and it's pretty chill.
Did it go back to like peacekeeping?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you guys were in blue helmets?
No, we didn't wear blue helmets because we were still under NATO, but it was a NATO-led peacekeeping mission.
All right.
So like the ROEs for a NATO mission are completely different than the ROEs for a UN mission.
Okay.
Right? Think about like the Rwanda situation where they have to call like Brussels to get permission to do stuff. We didn't have to do that as a NATO mission. You would call like the local commander.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty chill. Chill to the point where like we're running courses in Bosnia. So I get my PLQ mods 1, 2, and 3 in Bosnia. I get my platoon support weapons course in Bosnia. They let corporals run patrols in Bosnia. This is where I ran the longest patrol ever.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So they let corporals run it. So you and 2 of your buddies and a language assistant. So me and 2 buddies and a language assistant load up the Iltis, which is the little unarmored Jeep we used to run. And we had this GPS called the plugger, the PLGR.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's a brick with a folding antenna, and you have to turn it on and let it initialize or let the almanac count down on it, so it would sync up with all the satellites and shit. So you turn it on, you put it on the wall, and then you load up your Iltis, and you go out on patrol. So we did that. And the town we're going to patrol is maybe half an hour to a 45-minute drive from the camp. So we're driving there, and the mission of the patrol is to drop off these magazines, these NATO published magazines to all these like schools and libraries and like, the town hall and stuff like that. So we get to the first drop off spot and we go, okay, mark it on the GPS and we'll record the grid when we get back to camp. Where's the GPS? I'm looking at Iltis, it's not there. Oh, I know where it is. It's back at the camp on the wall where we had turned it on and started initializing it. So we drive all the way back, get the plugger, drive all the way back to town, drop off the magazines, mark it. All right, cool. Do maybe like 6 more drops, mark them all. And mark is just you push the button twice and it records the grid, right? So then we get, we're on the way home, successful mission, right? And we start reading off all the grids and start writing them down so that we can put them in the patrol report. So the first grid was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, write it down. Second grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that doesn't seem, that's the same grid. Third grid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm like, well, why is it recording the same grid?
Yeah.
And then you look at the map, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is back at camp on the wall. And you realize when you turn it on,
Oh,
it was in
no.
fixed mode. So it just took the grid of where you turned it on and then didn't change as you drove around. You had to put it in continuous mode. Now we're like, well, put it in continuous mode and now it starts working properly. We have to drive back through town, all 6 spots, record the grid again, and then drive back. So we left it like after breakfast. We came back, the sun is down. We did that patrol like 3 times.
Oh yeah. You know, that's why we check our kit before we go.
Yep. That's why. Well, as a corporal, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good way to learn, though.
It's a good way to learn is being out there all day. Yeah.
For sure.
You didn't make that mistake again. You always knew where's the plugger? Right there. Is it continuous? Yeah.
So Bosnia was pretty chill.
Super chill.
Yeah. So you get back from Bosnia. What was your thoughts? Like, what did you think about your career at that point? You got back from your first deployment.
Well, I wanted to go to Afghanistan, right?
That's right, because the war is now like on.
Well, Roto Zero had gone to Afghanistan, right?
Okay.
They were in Kabul, and they'd taken some casualties, and everybody else wanted to get on that now, right? That's the new hotness. When I joined, it was Bosnia, and now this new theater's opened up. Let's all go on that new fun tour.
And guys are fighting there. No?
So Kabul wasn't a fighting portion, right? And we started in Kabul.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of fighting in Kabul. There was operations and there was patrols and there was kind of the same stuff we were doing in Bosnia, but in a much different, much more dangerous theater. And then when they moved from Kabul down to Kandahar, that's when I got into the fighting portion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 2003, 2004, we were in Kabul. And then they started to move down in like 2005.
What was going on in your career at this point? What was your rank?
So I was, when I came back from Bosnia, I got my PLQ and then stayed as a corporal for another couple of years. And I got promoted to Master Corporal in that Christmas 2005.
Okay.
So 5-year Master Corporal. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good in battalions.
Yeah. So
what did that feel like, by the way? Because that's kind of like going against the norm.
Yeah, it is. And, but it is and it isn't.
I guess it depends on the generation or the what's happening in the military.
Yeah. If enough people are upset with the system, they're going to leave the system and there's going to leave gaps.
Right.
So people have to fill those gaps. So naturally, some people are going to go faster than others. The friction points are who gets to go faster, right? For some reason, I had fallen in favor with some people, and I was riding a wave.
Probably did some good stuff to get that attention.
I've been a good corporal.
Yeah.
Good corporal, good private. Sure.
That plays a role in that.
Yep.
So you're a Master Corporal.
Yep.
What's happening now? You get crew commander?
Master Corporal, we're a crew commander, we're TCCC qualified.
Which is?
Tactical Combat Casualty Care. So
okay.
You have basic first aid, combat first aid, tactical combat casualty care is another level.
What does that let you do?
You're practically a doctor.
MD.
It's you get some really advanced training over like combat first aid. So you get like airway stuff. You get some intrusive procedures like tension pneumothorax, right? The decompression, like chest needle decompression. You get stuff like that. Tourniquets. Tourniquets were a new thing back then, so tourniquets were all the rage. Quick clot was a thing, right? And triage and like casualty care and casualty management.
Okay.
So and then you got a cool little pouch that hung off your belt and was your leg pouch, right? That was your.
So you get designated TCCC in the section?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was a corporal, before I got promoted, I was in Bravo Company. I was supposed to go on tour with Bravo Company. But I got promoted at Christmas, which meant I got promoted out of the position that I was in that platoon.
Ah.
So they moved me to Charles to be a crew commander, but I still have the TCCC. Right? So I wasn't necessarily the TCCC guy,
but you
I
have
was just a guy with TCCC.
It's good to have.
Yep. The more the better.
Yep.
Yep.
So you're in Charles Company now. What platoon did you get into?
9 platoon.
9 platoon.
9 platoon is known as the band.
The band?
Is when 1RCR used to have like a unit. As a unit, they used to have a band in.
Okay.
It was composed of dudes from 9 platoon. Right. So everybody in 9 platoon was in the band. So we call ourselves the band.
Hey man, that's a platoon pride right there,
Yep.
carrying on that culture.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is what year now? 2006?
Yeah. We're
Okay.
going on Task Force 306.
Task Force 306.
Yeah.
All right. What was that experience like, being on a deployment, your first deployment to Afghanistan, and you guys are now going to Kandahar province?
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. So the first indication that it's going to be crazy is you're watching the news and you're seeing the tour before yours, Task Force 106, Task Force Orion. They're taking casualties and they're in firefights, like legit firefights, like the kind you see in a 80s action movie.
And if anybody's listening who doesn't know what a firefight is, it's like a legit military battle, like a gun battle with potentially all sorts of different armaments involved, cannons. Man, you could have ordnance being dropped in those battlefields, but yeah, a battle, which is new to our military at the time, I guess. Eh?
Yeah. So before that, you had dudes who were like had seen some things, had done some stuff, and they were almost like legends within the unit, right? Like we had a warrant officer, and the legend was that he had shot a tow missile at a tank in Yugoslavia and killed that tank. You're like, wow, cool. That guy's
he's a legend, yeah.
He's a legend. We had another guy. His name was Shotgun Ron.
Shotgun Ron.
Shotgun. And so you can imagine like the legend that surrounds this man.
Yo, you gotta tell me that story.
His name is Shotgun Ron. So here's the thing about legends is you don't know what's true and what's not.
Okay.
Right? And because it gets told so many times over and over again around the campfire and whatnot, that the story kind of skews and takes on its own life. So whoever you hear it from, it's got their own little twist on it. So the story I know of Shotgun Ron is he was in the Airborne Regiment. They were in Somalia, and there was a riot, a food riot. And Shotgun Ron was standing on a bridge, and he had the Remington 870 police special shotgun. And the riot's coming down the street towards, and it's going to overrun the bridge that they're on. And Shotgun Ron stands up with the shotgun and he levels it and takes out the first rioter armed with a machete. Boom. That guy drops. The whole riot just goes, oh, whoa, holy shit.
This just got real.
So he racks another one, levels it again, and the riot's just like, okay, well, we saw that guy. He got wasted by that shotgun. We don't want no part of Shotgun Ron.
This party's over.
It was almost like a one-man showdown with this riot, and the one-man
Shotgun Ron
stands above them all and turn the whole thing around. How much of that is true? How much of that is accurate? I don't know. Shotgun Ron will probably come find me and tell me exactly how wrong I am. But
but hey, even soldiers need heroes, man.
right, and those are the legends that are in the unit, right? So
Yeah.
people are looking up to people like Shotgun Ron and this guy and that guy, and yeah. So we start seeing legit contact, legit firefights, and like it's gonna be a spicy tour. And then we start doing workup training, and it's a lot of repetition, a lot of new scenarios, a lot of stuff we hadn't done before, a lot of ranges we hadn't seen before, and then the OC goes on the TAC recce, which is like just the leadership goes forward.
And the OC is the company commander.
The OC is the company commander, Major Sprague. He goes forward on the TAC recce. He comes back and he's like, okay, here's how it's going to work. Like, there's a company fob up here. There's a company fob over there. There's a company fob down here. We're going to take one of these. It's going to be patrols out of there, and we're just going to like influence the area that we can influence. And then he tells us like, I'm going to tell you the story of this patrol I went on with the Patricias, and it's going to set the tone for how this is going to go. So it's a night patrol. Everyone's got their NVGs on. They're walking through a poppy field. He's with the headquarters element, so he's near the JTAC or the food fac. And he's talking to an airplane. It's a B-52, just like orbiting. And you can hear like the B-52. He says, "See, there's a compound to your west. I'm going to sparkle it with the laser, so you see like the little dazzle on the compound." He's like, I could drop a bomb on that.
This is infrared.
Yeah.
And
So
so you guys are
it's
seeing
all
this-
through night vision. So it's all
Okay.
infrared, right? So he looks over the village and he sees it sparkling, and he's like, well. And the company commander, the Patricia at the time, is like, no, we're not taking any fire from that compound. We're good. We don't need you to drop anything on it. We're fine. We're just going to carry on with patrol. Yeah, Roger. I'll stay on station. And then they walk a little more. There's the village over here, and he sparkles it with the laser. It's like, oh, we could see that. We could drop bombs on that if you want. And then, no, we're fine. Everything's fine. There's no contact. We're just going to keep on patrolling. Okay. And every 5 minutes or so, this guy in the air was just like, I want to drop bombs. I want to drop bombs on something for you on the ground. I'm going to show you where I can drop bombs. And that was a constant, air power was there. When we've never heard that before.
This guy wanted to drop some bombs.
Wants to level some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Never.
This guy's walking around with Thor's hammer. He wants to hit something.
The only air support we'd ever seen before that was a Griffin would fly over. And we'd be like, oh, neat, a Griffin. Or we'd be in Wainwright and there'd be an Alpha Jet. And we'd be like, oh, cool, an Alpha Jet.
Yeah.
But now there's what do you mean a B-52 is just calling you up saying, I could just carpet bomb that place.
Just wipe out this entire grid square.
Just that whole, see that grid square over there with just...
It's gone.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're fine. It's all right. We'll call you when we need you. Yeah. So that was another indication. This is going to be a spicy one. And then you get there and you do the handover, the left seat, right seat, right? So you go out on that little patrol with...
Which means you're ripping out, you're relieving in place the Patricia battle group.
Yeah. So we go down to Fob Spin Boldak, which is near the Pakistan border. And this is where Charles Company was supposed to operate on for the whole tour. So we go down there and we relieve the Patricias. They've got all their stuff packed. They've already sent it ahead of them. They're like, okay, we're going to take you on a patrol. And the patrol is going to go to Kandahar Airfield and then we're going to get out. And you guys are just going to come back here and that'll be left seat, right seat. So cool. So we're riding in it and they're telling us when you're going down the highway, it's no lights on. So they can't figure out where the vehicles are and they won't shoot at you at night. If they ambush you, then you just everybody slows down, you spin your turrets and you just shoot at them and you drive out of the X. And they're telling us all these stories and everything. So you're getting more indications this is going to be interesting.
How do you feel all these indications coming in?
You don't really feel anything at the time.
Does it make you excited?
You just feel I want to, let's get to work. Let's do this. Let's get it on. Not necessarily let's get in combat, but all right, I'm here. I've got the lay of the land. Let's do the business. Let's do the work. So, yeah, we're hang out and spin Boldak.
Yo, it was spin Boldak. Were you guys, Charles Company was the only element there?
No. So Charles Company was in spin Boldak and they had an Afghan National Security Force there that would do security for the camp. And that Afghan National Security Force was sort of being mentored / trained / managed by a Green Beret team that was also in Camp Spin Boldak.
The U.S. Special Forces.
U.S. Special Forces, yeah. Yeah, and those guys were an interesting bunch.
What was that like being co-located?
So, they're very professional, but they also know when and how to relax.
Okay.
We'll just say that.
Okay.
So they were in Spin Boldak because they had been they had some disciplinary issues and they had been sent to Spin Boldak by their commander. Go to Spin Boldak, hang out. So while they're in Spin Boldak, they're still mentoring this group that's there and they're still require supplies and stuff. So they would have Chinooks come in every now and then. And it's still a strategic area because it's right near the Pakistan border. So people would still transit through. So Chinooks would land with strange people in it you've never seen before. They would come into the camp, talk to the Green Berets, and then go about their business. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. But they would do some funky stuff, man. They bought there's a little guy that had a shop outside the gate and he would sell bootleg DVDs and stuff. And they would go out to him and they would buy bootleg DVDs and then they would tell him I know where your cousin lives. If this bootleg DVD doesn't live, we're going to send a snatch team to get your cousin. And the guy's like, oh, no, it's good, sir. And sometimes he would take the DVD back and then hand them a different one. No, we want that one instead.
Oh, okay. They knew how to get around the bootleggers.
They knew how to pull them.
Yeah. That's how to hustle out there.
But then they would start talking to him and they're like, can you get us, we want to get a monkey. Can you get us a monkey? So this little guy that owned the shop would go across the Pakistan border and buy a monkey from the market there.
No way.
Come back and be like, here's your monkey. So they had a monkey. And they're like, hey, we want a camel. What's a camel? So they bought a camel. And I think by the time we had left there, They were working on like a lion or a tiger.
Oh my god.
They were building a
You
zoo.
got a
They
zoo.
were building a zoo in the camp.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and they would have weird rituals like firing. They had a 120 mil mortar there, and they would fire this thing at a mountain, like not on the Pakistan border, but near the Pakistan border. They would just fire it at this mountain just to like stay proficient with it, but they would do it naked and in the middle of the night, and they wouldn't tell us. So you're just laying in your rack, and then like explosions are going off. Like, what the fuck? The camp stands too, and you go up. Oh yeah, Green Berets are firing 120 mil naked again.
Oh, they sure know how to practice.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Man, I could imagine if they just like were buying a bunch of crazy stuff like that, getting the zoo set up.
Like I don't know how they were doing. I think they were given like a slush fund, like use this stuff to make your missions happen and everything. And they would just like divert a couple dollars to like.
Hey, the zoo's for relationship building.
Right. That's exactly it. Right. It's
Exactly.
winning the hearts and minds of the
There
local
you go.
populace. We'll build a zoo. We'll bring the kids in.
So then, how'd your tour go from there?
So we only spent, I want to say, less than a week in Spinbold. We were there for a couple days, and then 7 and 8 platoon got tasked to go on a quote-unquote 48-hour patrol, and the band was tasked to stay back and hold the camp while they went on this 48-hour patrol. We never saw them again for the rest of the tour.
Okay.
Well, until Apadusa. So they left. We got told, yeah, pack everything up, bring it all to Kandahar, and then we're gonna get orders for an op. Okay, so how come we're packing up? Well, because you're probably not going back to Spinbold. So we have to go in as 7 and 8 platoons bunks, and like dudes had moved in. So like their shoes are out, their pictures of their families are out, their shower sandals are there, their like everything's set up.
All their belongings.
They're living there. Right?
Yeah.
They're gonna live there for 6 months. That's what they thought. So everything's out. So now we have to pack all that up. So we're trying to shove stuff in barrack boxes and shove stuff in big tri-wall containers and everything, and yeah, pack it all up, throw it in a truck, drag it all to Kandahar, and leave it at the CQ compound for them to filter through and get their stuff. It's kind of a weird situation, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like, go to your neighbor's house and pack everything up for them. It's weird. So we did that, and then we got orders for Apadusa in Kandahar Airfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like when you say you got orders, like what kind of like what did you know?
We didn't know anything. So like they gave us the background story of it. Well, not the background story, but the background info for it was that the white school in Bazari Panjwai, and this green belt between Patrol Base Wilson and Bazari Panjwai, this is like a big Taliban stronghold.
Okay.
Right? The Patricias tried all through 106 to go in there and smash it. And the play they would use was they would come through Bazari Panjwai and they would cross the river and attack the white school. So the play we were going to use, same play, except we were going to stop short of attacking the white school. We're going to stop, bombard it for 3 or 4 days, right? They're going to think that we're coming to attack the white school. They're all going to concentrate themselves in that area. The bombardment will take them all out. And then Bravo Company will come from the north like a hammer anvil sort of a play. Didn't pan out that way. Got there. H hour comes for Apadusa. Oh, we'll back up a little bit. No, I'm on track. H hour comes for Apadusa. My lab doesn't work.
Oh no.
Yeah. We're like watching our watches and like 09 rolls around and we go to pull the trigger and nothing happens. There's no fan, there's no lights, there's no like.
This is the gunnery system.
It's the cannon in the lab is not working.
And while this is happening, like are people like lighting up?
Oh
Like,
yeah, the whole company is in the war right now.
Okay.
Except for
The battle is on.
3-3 Bravo. 3-3 Bravo is in there with a pair of pliers.
Oh no.
Unhooking cables and hooking them back up, trying to figure out what's wrong with this stupid turret. And it turns out the box in the middle right here, the command display assembly, like the brains of the turret, is fried. So we need a new one. So we get sent back to the Esh, which is just behind us, just on the other side of town. Go back there and the techs look at it like, yeah, you need a new CDA. It's going to be here in the morning. Hang out. And we'll fix it in the morning and get you back in the fight. And we're like, yeah, cool. sounds good. There's going to be 4 or 5 days of sitting on the gun line and shooting things, so we're only missing a day. We'll be fine. So we're hanging out, and then this is when the Nimrod crashes, the British Nimrod, which is like a surveillance / spy plane.
Okay.
Right? It crashes. We see it. It flies right over the Esh.
You see this?
You see it.
Plane on fire.
Fire. It's not spiraling out of control or anything. It's literally just like flying like a normal plane would fly, but there's flames.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not normal. And you watch it fly over, and then it crashed in the Reg Desert.
Whoa.
Like way to the south of us. So that was interesting. It's a vivid memory. Yeah. And then the next morning, we get the lab fixed. We're hanging out,
and the battle is happening throughout.
So we're not aware because the lab is broken, so it's just turned off.
Okay, so you don't
And
hear the radio traffic.
We're hanging out in the Esh, so all these other people are monitoring what's going on. And we're just hanging out with them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting the lab fixed, and obviously it's still turned off, right? And as it's just about to be fixed, the CQ, the company quartermaster, comes running up to the lab. And he's like, "All right, how long until it's ready?" "Well, it's going to be ready in a few minutes." "Good. Okay, we're going to take this truck, and we're going to take all the ammo, and we're going to put it in the back of your lab, and you're going to take it up to the front." And we're like, "Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because we're in a fire base. We need more ammo." So cool. So he runs off. He comes back a few minutes later. He's like, "All right, you're going to take the Bison AM. You're going to take that Bison AM right over there. You're going to take that with you to the front."
And for the people listening, the Bison AM is a armored ambulance.
Armored ambulance, yeah. So we're like, that's unusual, because why would someone be hurt on the fire base? Why wouldn't the Bison AM just stay here with all these other support vehicles? So we're like, okay, yeah, no problem. And then he comes back. He's like, that lab right there is going to escort you and the Bison AM up to the front. And at this point, I'm like, CQ, I know where I'm going. I don't need an escort. We're just going back to the fire base. And he doesn't say anything. He just turns and runs back to what he was doing. So we have all this ammo. We have a Bison AM. We have a lab escorting us. And then we turn everything on, and we turn the radio on, and it's mayhem on the radio. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Get in the lab, and we start following our little mini convoy, and we take a weird turn, and we end up crossing the river. And now we're in the same position that I want to say 8 platoons in. I think 7 was on the right, 8 platoon was on the left, I think. Anyways, They were the ones that were in the U-shaped ambush by the White School. So we could see a lav stuck in the ditch. We see lavs, in the horseshoe. We see dudes out. We see people firing at things.
Sorry, there was like a canal. They crossed this canal, and they were positioned across this vulnerable point.
There's a river that runs. Argandab River is there.
Okay, Argandab River.
During the summer, it's Argandab Ditch.
Oh, it's a dry bed in the
It's
summer.
pretty much a big dry riverbed
with
a little canal in the middle.
All right.
And by little, I mean like you could drive your Toyota Corolla through.
Okay.
So that's the Argandab River. We cross the Argandab River through the flatbed of the riverbed, and we go up on the other side. And then on the other side is the White School and a wadi system that runs around this big field near the White School. And that's the wadi system that they had used to create this horseshoe-shaped ambush. So the platoon pushed up. When they took contact, they took casualties in the form of their platoon 2IC and their one of the other guys. No, just platoon 2IC at the time. Right? The G-Wagon got hit. And then we showed up. So we showed up at the end.
As you're navigating your way to your position, there is chaos erupting everywhere. There's people shooting everywhere, cannons going off, guys running around.
25 mils are going nuts. The machine guns are going nuts, but it seems almost eerily calm, sort of, because the dismounts they're not assaulting things, and they're not like in the prone or anything. They're just sort of like gathered behind their labs, like what's going on. So I asked this guy on the ground, I'm like, hey man, where's the bad guys? And he sort of just casually looks at me, and then he looks at this big field in front of me, and he spreads his arms wide like this to give me my arcs. I'm like, holy shit, they're everywhere. So like, I lay the gunner on the left of arc, I lay him on the right of arc. I'm like, all right, just hose down everything in between, because we've got a ton of ammo. We haven't distributed any of this ammo yet.
This is a declared killing zone, basically. Like
Yeah,
everything's hostile.
that was in the orders. Like everything on this side of the river is bad. So if someone's going to the other side of the river, they're bad. If someone's on the other side of the river, they're bad. If you want to see what 25 mil does, do it. If you want to see what an indirect fire mission does, call it in.
And this was all more deliberately set in orders, but definitely to keep it simple, these people were just listed as hostile enemy.
Yeah, this is bad guy territory.
Yeah.
These number of grid squares, it's a sweep and clear operation. And not said in those terms exactly, but like that's what it is. So we're in this chaotic little spot, and the word comes over we're gonna pull back. This was after a plane had dropped a bomb off target. So I think the way the JDAM works is that if it goes off target, it just turns itself into a dud.
Okay.
Right? So JDAM is guided by GPS. So if something happens, if a fin doesn't deploy, or if the guidance system is off or whatever, it will just turn itself into a dud and thunder into the ground, and that'll be that. So this bomb comes tumbling through the position where everybody was, and the OC at that point is like, okay, that's enough. That's an indication from someone that we're not supposed to be here anymore. Let's pull everything off. So I yell over to this lab that's on my right. I'm like, hey man, I don't have a fire team partner, so you take a bound back with your lab. Tell me when you're set, and then I'll take a bound back with my lab. We'll cover each other as we move back. So he's gonna think, yep, gives me the thumbs up, and then he takes a bound, and he ends up like on the other side of the river.
Okay.
And he just left me there. Maybe a slight miscommunication, or maybe he just couldn't find a good piece of ground to stop at, but he went back. So we're like, oh, all right. So I'm there, we're still shooting at things. My radio is working on and off. I think there's something wrong with the antenna cable or something. But another lab pulls up, and the lab captain gets out of it, and his name is Captain Norton. At the time, Captain Norton. Now Lieutenant Colonel Norton.
Of 2nd Battalion?
2nd Battalion, yeah.
Wow, CO 2nd Battalion was there as the lab captain.
Yeah.
Right on.
And he comes running over, and it's like that scene in Band of Brothers with Captain Spears, where he runs through the town to link up with the other unit and then comes running back. So he runs across this field. And we're the only 2 labs there now, mind you. So this whole U-shaped ambush is now focusing fire on us.
You guys are pop, getting peppered?
Yeah. You can hear the rounds snapping over your head and everything. And he comes running over and gets in my lab, and he's like, what are you doing? I don't know. Waiting for my fire team partner. I look back, and he's way back there. So yeah, it's time to go. So he gets out and he runs back to his lab, gets in, and then we move back. So that was Op Medusa, September 3rd. Yeah, crazy. At one point, I was the furthest deployed Charles Company element. That's me.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Hey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where, like, man, I don't even know what to say. Where does your involvement in the battle go from there?
So the next day is the A-10 strike, September 4th.
Can you tell us about that?
I can't tell you much because the band was separated from the other 2 platoons. So they were basically at the base of where Massamgar is, and we were on the left flank of them, sort of looking down the river to the west.
Yeah.
And when the A-10 came and strafed the garbage fire, 7 and 8 and headquarters were together, and 9 was off on its own. So we didn't even know that they had been strafed. We just got woken up and told to stay in 2. Something was going on. And then as you listen to the radio, you start picking up that there was a mass cas, and there's a bunch of dudes wounded, and then it starts filtering through that an A-10 came by, and they were calling it in over there, and then one came and strafed on this side. So you were hearing bits and pieces, but you weren't getting the full story of it, right? And then later on, you find out from the dudes exactly what happened.
And for anybody listening, so essentially this A-10 strike is a friendly fire incident, or fratricide is what we call it. And it's an unfortunate incident that happens, unfortunately, in military operations, especially in combat operations. And one RCR was involved in this, and I believe it was a U.S. warplane that engaged the 1st Battalion at that position. And it resulted in multiple casualties and wounded.
It was a U.S. A-10. They had been doing gun runs earlier that morning, and he had switched from MVGs to naked eyeball.
Yeah.
In that switch, he became disoriented, And instead of shooting at the fire that was on the north side of the river, he saw the garbage fire that Private Mark Graham was standing beside. So he rolled in on that. And the food fac managed to call him off, but not soon enough, right? He gave a little bit of a squirt from the 30 mil cannon and caused all those, killed Mark Graham and caused all the injuries.
And Mark Graham, he was the Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
And I remember him on the recruitment videos when I joined.
Yeah. He's a poster boy.
Yeah.
Right? He was going places.
Yeah.
You could tell already, right? From just as a private, you could talk to the guy and know, like, this guy's gonna go places. He's gonna do some stuff. Cut short. All too soon.
So where did the deployment go from there?
So from there, not much happened. We went on HLTA after that, right? Sometime in September. HLTA, went home for 3 weeks, had some beers, bought some non-issued kit, right? Because the thing with that tour was no one was allowed to wear non-issued kit.
Okay.
Right. That was the RSMs. Can't wear anything non-issued. But you'd see dudes on the news, Patricia guys, decked out in non-issued kit.
Of course.
So you're like,
it's the Patricias, man.
it's the Patricia way. They're wearing all the non-issued kit, wearing the stupid issued kit, and we're like, oh, this sucks. So when Op Medusa kicked off, the RSM came down and was like, all right, you're allowed to wear non-issued chest rigs, but only for Op Medusa, which was a brilliant plan because Op Medusa really never ended, right? So the main objective of Op Medusa was to establish the route summit from Patrol Base Wilson to Massengar.
And until that was achieved,
Right?
essentially
Until
the
it
op
was
is
achieved,
still
Op
on.
Medusa is still going.
Okay.
Like really, if you think about it, in the spirit of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we never really stopped wearing non-issued vests for the rest of that tour.
No.
So when we were at home on HLTA, we're like, this is the perfect opportunity.
Oh yeah.
So we get on the internet and we order a bunch of $600 worth of chest rig stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we go back and kind of a weird convoy back out to PVW, right? We're in a LAV 3. It's a $6 million killing machine. It's amazing. We're going to go out on this convoy. Well, it's run by the DNS guys, and they're reservists. Nothing wrong with reservists, but they're not equipped like we are. So they have a couple of G-Wagons.
Oh, they had G-Wagons.
G-Wagons.
Oh, dang.
With machine guns on top.
Okay.
And so we're like, where do you want us in the front, or do you want us like at the back? And they're like, no, just be in the middle and be in the convoy. We're like, okay, well, what do you want us to do? Like, they're like, we don't want you to do anything. Just be in the convoy. So they took our $6 million machine and basically made it into a truck in the middle of the convoy. Yeah, we felt kind of cheesed about that. And then we start driving out, and at some point in the trip to Patrol Base Wilson, we look over to the side and we see on the side of the road the counter ID robot, right? The Johnny 5 robot, we call it.
The bomb disposal.
Bomb disposal robot. We see him on the side of the road. We're like, oh my god, the bomb disposal robot. So we wave at it and we drive by.
As you're driving by.
Yeah. And we're like, that's a weird thing to see on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And then we drive like maybe a couple hundred meters and we see the guy in the Hurt Locker suit, the bomb disposal suit. And he's standing on the road and he's looking up at us like, what the fuck are you doing? And we see him, we're like, hey, bomb disposal guy, hey.
Oh my god.
We drive by that guy. And then we drive by the big counter IED, like all their armored vehicles and stuff. And they're all giving us the same look, like, what are you doing? And we drive by them. Like,
yeah, just for anybody listening, it's probably not a good idea to be driving through like a space where bomb disposal people are working.
Yeah.
Yeah, no bueno.
Yeah, no bueno at all. So we get to Patrol Base Wilson and they're trying to jack us up. Like, well, didn't you know? I'm like, no, we didn't know. Nobody told us that there was a IED on that route. We're not even in charge. So they're like, well, who's in charge of the convoy? Like, it's well, these reservists are in charge of the convoy. And what had happened was they have like an ECM bubble that goes up. So when they got to the site of this potential IED, they put up the ECM bubble.
Right.
Disrupted the comms between PBW, Patrol Base Wilson, and our convoy. So anything that the Patrol Base was trying to tell us was getting into this bubble and then disappearing into the ether. So we would never have known. So it's kind of our fault. Like we probably should have stopped when we saw the Johnny 5 robot.
Mm-hmm. There's some accountability
But
in
like
everybody's end.
there was supposed to be another checkpoint on the other side of the bubble.
That should have stopped you, I guess,
Right.
like a cordon.
Right. And it should have been like Afghan National Police or Afghan Army or something. But
Somebody.
they weren't there.
Yeah.
So we just drove through this thing. Yep. And then we get to PBW. They could brief us like, okay, you're going to go up to Strong Point Center and your platoon is there. You're going to take a position and you're going to hang out there with your platoon and you're back to work. All right, cool. So we get there and we have a new platoon commander just because some people had been shuffled around due to the A-10 strike and Medusa, that people had to step up into different roles, right? So the OC got injured, which meant the 2IC had to step up, which meant the LAV captain became the 2IC, which meant one of the platoon commanders had to become a LAV captain, which means there's no more platoon commander in one of the platoons. So we got a new platoon commander. His name is Lieutenant Ray Corby, who is now Lieutenant Colonel Ray Corby. And he's the guy who's doing the new uniform program. He does all the, like they call the Soldier 2.0 stuff. So
cool.
he's doing that. So yeah, meet him, park our LAV, spend the night in Strong Point Center, and we get orders that we're going to do a joint ANA mission the next morning. We're going to do a little clearance patrol just down the road and to the west. So we sleep that night. Everything's fine. We get up the next morning, do the patrol, smooth as silk. We go to leave that patrol area, and 3-3 Alpha hits an IED. So they get the front left wheel blown off their LAV. The driver gets knocked out. A couple of the passengers have concussions. So they get evac back to Patrol Base Wilson, and now we're down one LAV. Okay, not that big of a deal. There's no serious casualties, right? They go to Patrol Base Wilson, they get checked out, and they're going to wait there for another LAV, and then they're going to join us again.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to Strong Point Center. We start hearing ICOM chatter. ICOM is like it's a radio that the Taliban use. It's basically like a civilian walkie-talkie.
Okay.
Right?
And the coalition forces listening to that to understand where they are, what they're doing.
Because they're using a civilian walkie-talkie, anybody else can buy a civilian walkie-talkie and just sort of dial through it until they find
and listen in.
People talking on it, right? And listen to it. So they're listening to this ICOM chatter, and they're talking about a coordinated attack on NATO forces in this area. So well, that's us. That's the 3 strong points: Strong Point North, Center, and West.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, well, we should stand to. So we start standing everybody to. And as we're getting up, putting our stuff on, that's when the first rounds crack off. And it's a volley of RPGs, and it's aimed at this little OP that's in the middle of Strong Point Center, where Jesse Larachelle is up there with a C6 machine gun. Hits that. Jesse Larachelle gets knocked unconscious.
They hit his position with a bunch of RPGs.
His position with a volley of RPGs.
Oh, dang.
So he's down and out. And then the next volley of RPGs comes in and it starts hitting vehicles. And one of these RPGs that comes in hits the TACNAV antenna that's in the back of the lab. So
the back of your lab?
Back of my lab. So if you look at the back of a lab, there's a couple little antennas there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little short stubby guy, and that's your digital compass antenna that helps you navigate. And that's on this little pedestal, right? Little armored pedestal. So it's maybe like that tall. Base is maybe this big around. Your RPG comes in and it hits that square.
Holy shit.
Like a 1 in a million shot. But because the 2 hatches in the back are open for ventilation and for ease of getting up into the turret, it's easier just to come into the back and climb out the air sentry hatch into the turret.
Mm-hmm.
Because those are open, the shrapnel comes into the vehicle and it comes straight down the back of the ramp, which is obviously the ramp's open so we can get into that. So standing at the back ramp was Sergeant Darcy Tedford. He took a bunch of shrapnel through his upper torso because it came straight down above his plate.
Oh shit.
And then shrapnel came in, wounded my gunner, Chris Downhand. He got a little nick in his temporal artery, and he got a little piece in his collarbone. Got me, right? I got a piece in my side right here. And I got Private Blake Williamson. I hit him in the neck. So he bled out almost immediately on the bench. It's one of those things where if Colonel Grossman talks a little bit about it in his speaking engagements when he goes around about the media you consume and how it reflects on how you react to situations, right? And in his talk, he talks about a Secret Service agent who he takes around for the president. But he's been watching, as he's been growing up, all those old West movies where like Clint Eastwood levels the double barrel shotgun and blows a guy through a plate glass window, and he flies through all dramatic and stuff. So that's what he's been conditioned to react to a gunshot. But that's not really what happens when somebody gets shot, right? The round hits them and they either crumple or they carry on with what they're doing until they go down. So this guy takes a bullet for the president, but instead of taking it and crumpling it, or taking it and carrying on with the fight, he takes it and he flies through the air. Why did he do that? Because he's been watching all these old West movies, right? So all the media I've consumed, people get hurt, you scream medic, right? And the medic comes running through the smoke and patches everybody up, and everybody's awesome. So the round goes off, shrapnel flies, I get hit, everybody else gets hit, there's dust, there's smoke, and I'm on all fours screaming, medic! But the medic's not coming. It takes me a good maybe 3 shouts before I realize that, well, I'm TCCC, I'm the medic. So now I have to, the mind clears and now you go back to work. Right, so we're doing triage. We're looking at Downhand. Yeah, you're not that bad. Help me with Blake. Check out Blake. Okay, he's gone. Go to Darcy. Cut all his kit off. Look at him. No pulse, no breathing, full of holes. He's gone.
That's your section commander.
That's my section commander. So now I'm the boss. Right? Downhand's still bleeding. Okay.
Are you guys under contact?
We're under contact.
You guys are getting shot at while you're doing this. This chaos is going down.
Yeah. Strong point north, strong point center, strong point west. The whole route summit is under contact right now.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, we're processing casualties. Where dudes are outside in a fight. The lab is in a fight. We're patching Downhand up. And then we're out on the wall with the rest of the boys and we're putting on our kit and we're fighting. We're handing out ammo. We're rebounding mags. And through the smoke and dust comes Ray Corby. What do you need? Sir, I need more ammo. Sir, I got 2 dudes down. I need evac. Yeah, I'll be right back. He leaves. More characters start showing up. Captain Derek Wesson, who retired as, I think he was a lieutenant colonel when he retired. Lieutenant Colonel Derek Wesson, he shows up. What do you need? Sir, I need more ammo. I got 2 dudes down. Need an evac. Right, we got you. He leaves. At some point in time, Niner TAC shows up.
Okay.
That's the CO. And he's
the commanding officer of the battalion.
Commanding officer of the battalion. He would roll to every contact. Right?
And who was that at the time?
Lieutenant Colonel. Well, at the time, Lieutenant Colonel Omar Lavoie. Now he's a general, and I always get all the generals mixed up. Lieutenant General.
But General Lavoie now.
He's a General Lavoie now. He would show up. Him and his TAC would show up at every tick. They would listen to the radio. There's a tick here, and he would drive to it.
Okay.
He was always like at the front, like a chesty puller.
Okay.
Right there, influencing the battle, right?
Right at the front. So
he's there on our position, and now the regimental historian, Colonel Horn, is running ammo.
The regimental historian.
The regimental historian who was with the Niner TAC at the time is running ammo.
Is he technically like an active duty soldier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was, I think the regimental historian at the time was teaching at RMC.
Okay.
But still a colonel.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
But essentially an academic.
So, yeah, an academic. But the war is kicking off, and we're doing historical things. So he needs to come and check out all the historical things we're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So he's there with Niner TAC, and now he's running ammo.
On this historical expedition.
Yeah. So the regimental historian is bringing cans of ammo.
Oh, man.
To 3-3 Bravo. And I'm like, this is surreal.
All hands on deck.
Yeah. And then Ray comes back, and he's got body bags. He's like, you got to help me bag them up. So I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm hurt. I'm controlling the fight. I'll give you a guy. So I gave him a guy. They packed up Darcy and they packed up Blake. And then they were sort of just off to the side, waiting for the armored ambulance to show up. So the armored ambulance leaves out of Patrol Base Wilson, and they have a mechanical issue. One of the wheels falls off. So like, yeah, it's not coming. There's no ground evac. Okay. And then the lav turret breaks, right? So I had two guys in there. One guy, Daryl Jones, and one guy, Jeremy Penny, who's a reservist.
Okay.
They were in the turret. They were on shift, so they were running the turret.
So you had reservists integrated into the battle group as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every section had one reservist.
Right on.
And
how some of these guys integrated well?
Yeah, some of these guys did very well. Some of them CT'd and are in the Red Force now, and they're still serving. And some of these guys are, I don't know where some of these guys are, right? Happens with everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are good, and some of them are not good.
People are people.
People are people, yeah. So, Jeremy Penny's not qualified to run the lab. Daryl Jones is qualified, but he's not current, we'll say. Okay. Skill fade. Skill fade's the thing. So they end up jamming the cannon, and it's a stoppage that we can't fix, like under contact. And then they jammed up the machine gun, the C6 machine gun.
So once the cannon jammed, they switch to the coax. They're firing the machine gun as much as they can.
Yeah, and then that jammed. So now the turret's just a dead stick. It's not worth anything now. So
no more firepower going out.
So I tell Ray, I'm like, listen, like, put them in the back of the lab. We'll get this out of here. 3-3 Alpha's back at PBW. They just have their lab. They can park their new lab here. We'll just swap one for one. So he's like, yeah, let's do it. So 3-3 Alpha shows up. We pack up all the casualties, and I crew command the lab out to PBW.
Man, you took charge that day.
Like, you have to, right?
Yeah.
Section commander's down. Section 2IC steps up.
2IC take over, essentially.
2IC take over. Yeah.
For real.
Yep. Yeah, then we got a helicopter ride back to CAF.
That was the significant act that essentially awarded you the Medal of Military Valor. And just for people listening right now, you have to understand the significance of this award. It's one of the highest decorations that you can achieve as a soldier in the military. Not the highest, but one of the highest ones that are recognized. And just so you understand why this medal is awarded, it's awarded to any service member who has demonstrated an act of valor or devotion to duty in the presence of the enemy. And that's significant because acts like that is not something that is frequently recognized nor awarded. And I just want to take a second. I was able to find your citation for the Medal of Military Valor on the Governor General's website online. And I hope you're okay with me reading the citation for everybody in the battalion to hear this and to really understand. This is the official citation for Warrant Officer LeBlanc. At the time, he was a Master Corporal. On October 14th, 2006, Master Corporal LeBlanc's section was occupying a position in Afghanistan when insurgents unleashed a devastating attack that resulted in several casualties, including the death of his section commander. Seamlessly assuming command, he rallied his section to return fire while personally tending to the wounded. Despite being injured himself and under constant fire, he continued to lead and inspire his section to keep fighting and hold its ground against a determined enemy. His selfless actions, no doubt, saved the lives of some of his fellow soldiers. I think it's important to talk about this kind of stuff because Warrant, I had no idea that you were awarded this medal, and I knew you for at least a year now, you know? And not to change the subject from your overseas deployment, but just to put into context, when I first met you, I knew you were a pretty switched on cat because I met you on my crew commander course last summer. And you were there at the portion where we were basically learning how to get radio orders. And man, I'm not going to lie, we had a little bit of an idea of the radio orders, what to expect. But once we got them from you, it was so, I don't know the best way to explain it, but it was definitely, you could hear some passion in how you're giving those orders, because there's some seasonal experience that we could kind of pick up in between of how you're speaking to us. You understand? Like, and I absolutely understood the context of getting information in such a fast pace in such a chaotic situation, and having to have that situational awareness of what is happening outside of my hatch and what I'm getting in the radio at the same time is extremely important. And I remember that speed and intensity of the information coming down the flow. I understood that that was the expectation. And like, that's how it's going to be. And if shit ever pops off, that's how it's going to go down. And I thank you for that, you know, because like you contribute to like my learning. And honestly, Warren, like I didn't even know this, but if I did, I honestly, like, I feel like right now that I feel obligated to share this, because the way it makes me feel, I feel inspired and empowered to be around people like yourself. And I know that there was a lot of soldiers that deployed overseas and did a lot of great things over there that demonstrated a lot of acts of valor. And some of them weren't recognized for this award. But I think it's important to value that people did amazing things. And a person such as yourself, we shouldn't forget about you, you know? And that's just coming from me. And I'm just a junior rank. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just another grunt. But I think it's important to recognize these things. And I'd like to shift the conversation back to you, Warren.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I wasn't the only one that won a Medal of Valor on that day.
Okay.
I started the story with Jesse.
Okay.
Up in his OP.
Yeah.
So when Jesse came,
he was
around,
a C6 gunner.
He was a private.
Okay.
He was a C9 gunner.
A C9 gunner.
He was on shift in the OP by himself during the day. So he's up there. He's watching his arcs. Gets knocked out by these 3 RPGs. A couple seconds later, wakes up, shakes it off, realizes, holy shit. Watches our lab gets hit, and starts laying hate with the C6, mowing down Taliban out in the field, moving towards our position. He's mowing him down all the time. He's got 3 separated vertebrae in his neck.
Whoa.
So he's got 3 separated vertebrae. He's mowing him down with the C6. Runs out of C6 ammo. Switches to his personal weapon, the C9. He's got a couple boxes for that. Mows down dudes with the C9. Just keeping them at bay. And then he runs out of ammo with that.
With both his machine guns
Both
down.
machine guns dry out of ammo. But he's got a stack of M72s.
Which are essentially small rocket
it's a
launchers.
small anti-tank rocket.
Yeah.
And a disposable too. So
Okay.
it's the one where you see it in the movies where they pull each side and it comes out and then they put it on their shoulder and they fire it. He's got maybe a dozen of those up there. So he just starts prepping all these M72s. He's got all 12 ready to go. And now he's just like, picks one up, finds a group of Taliban, fires it at them.
Okay.
Throws it away. Picks one up, finds a group, throws it away. Right? Fires all these rockets. And by the time he's fired all these rockets, the attack is turned and it's not as dire anymore, right? So now he can start calling for ammo.
Didn't like people think he was dead?
Yeah. So the platoon commander, Ray Corby, when he was coming to 3-3 Bravo to see what happened, looks up at the OP, sees it's all fucked up. Calls up there, hey, is anybody up there? Nobody answers. He thinks whoever was up there is dead. And then he sees Jesse's little head and face peek over and he's like, okay, thank God you're alive. Give me some covering fire. I'm going to go over to 3-3 Bravo. And then the C6 starts opening up. He's like, yep, good. Goes over to 3-3 Bravo. Yeah.
And that's when he got to your boat.
Yeah, and that's when he got to our boat.
Was from that covering fire.
From the covering fire.
Man.
So Jesse got written up for the Star of Military Valor.
Okay.
So that's if you think about it like gold, silver, bronze, Victoria Cross being the gold. He got the silver. I've got the bronze.
So you got the second. So he got the second highest.
He's got the second
Award
highest.
for
And
valor.
there's debate in some circles whether or not he should have been given the Victoria Cross. It's
But that'll be up for debate.
well, it's up for debate. And it's
Yeah.
not my pay grade that does that. It's not even this building that does that. It's,
Yeah.
it's somewhere else where they can discuss that and go through it.
But no doubt that day.
He
Yeah,
definitely
he
saved lives.
demonstrated,
And he
yeah.
definitely displayed extreme acts of valor, like injured himself and doing the job, right?
And that's important to share.
Yeah.
Because like he's not even
He's
he's not an active soldier anymore.
No, he's retired.
He's retired.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for you coming online to share that story, I probably wouldn't even know his name.
Right. Well, he'd be in the. I think he's in the catechism.
In the catechisms?
Right. I think so.
Okay.
You'd have to look. We'll find an up-to-date version.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a
see
look.
if those are in there.
Double check. Yeah. That's important.
Yeah.
That's important to talk about.
Yeah.
And all the other countless people that were there that day.
Yeah.
Was that the end of the contact, essentially, when you guys got back to the base?
So they had sporadic contact there throughout the night. Dudes were either still trying to infiltrate or trying to exfil from that area, and they get picked up by the thermals of the labs, and they get mowed down and stuff. So one-sided victory for us for sure on that day, but we still paid the price, right?
No, price.
2K, both from 3-3 Bravo.
From your section.
Yeah. Just a lucky shot, man. Hit that little antenna base. Got 2 of us.
How did the deployment go from there?
So from there, it went pretty smooth. There's still plenty of contact going on. There's still little ops that we would do here and there. But from there, the band got sent back to Spin Boldak to rest and recover and reorganize and receive replacements and get some shuffling around the company so that we could get a new section commander in. Stayed there till about Christmas time, and then we moved back to the Strong Point Center, which had changed a lot since we were there in October. So when we were there in October, it had just been established. And the fields of fire weren't very clear, right? Like you had this dusty dirt road, and then you had a grape wall, and then you had a grape wall, and then you had grapevines and trees.
Yeah.
So you had maybe 50 meters of clear vision. After that, they brought in the bulldozers and they cleared the whole place out, right? Smashed everything, huge fields of fire. The dudes would get up, that were occupying Strong Point Center would get up every morning before dawn, and they would fill sandbags until the sun came up, until it was too hot to fill sandbags, right? So they built that place from a couple of mud hut walls and some sandbags to a fortress. It was a fucking fortress. Like, I don't know how many sandbags went into it, but it was crazy. So significant change there. And then we moved from center to PBW for Christmas dinner, and then from PBW to Massamgar. We spent the rest of the tour at Massamgar, occupying an OP on one of the corners.
Okay. Hey, did General Hillier visit you on overseas?
Yeah. Yes, he did.
And that was the chief of defense staff at the time?
General Hillier was the chief of defense staff.
Oh man, so he was the top soldier.
The top dog.
Yeah. So what was that experience like?
So back in Petawawa, my fiance at the time, now my wife, Melissa, was in like a wives social group, kind of a support network that the wives had set up. And they would have meetings here at the building.
Like a community.
Yep. And at one point, the CDS came to visit CFP Petawawa, and he came to spend an evening with the ladies of Task Force 306. Because it wasn't just one RCR wives, there was signals wives, and there was engineers and RCDs.
The whole team.
The whole team's in the social club, and they're hanging out. And at the end of the evening, everybody's going by and shaking hands and meeting the general, and he's asking for messages for your husband if I see them, like I'm going over there. So my wife gets up to the front of the line. Jeremy Hiller, nice to meet you. Oh, hello. Who's your husband? Oh, my husband's Master LeBlanc. He's in Charles Company. And he's like, oh, I'm in Charles. I'm gonna see. Well, not I'm in Charles, but I'm gonna see Charles at Christmas time. I'm gonna be with them. Do you have a message to pass along? She's like, oh yeah, well, just tell him, I love him, I miss him, stay safe, come home, all that stuff. And he's like, no, we can do better than that. Why don't you give me a little kiss on the cheek? This creepy old man. Give me a little kiss on the cheek. So she gives him a kiss on the cheek, and he's like, yeah, I'll personally deliver that to Master LeBlanc. So then fast forward to Christmas, and we're in PBW, and we're all standing around out of our vehicles, and the company sergeant major Chief Warrant Officer retired now, John Barnes. Says, all right, you troops, line up, 3 ranks. LeBlanc, front rank. The general wants to see you.
What did I do?
I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, why would he want to see me?
Yeah.
I'm in the front rank, and the general's coming by, and he's shaking everyone's hands, and good job, and coins are being handed out, and slaps on the shoulders are being given, and hair is being tussled, and he gets to me, and he shakes my hand, and he's like, oh, that's Corporal LeBlanc. I know that name. I have a message from your wife. I'm like, okay. It's like, look into that camera right there. It's a Dutch combat camera guy. He's filming with his camera. I look into the camera, and he just leans in and gives me a peck on the cheek. And he's still holding my hand. He's like, that's from your wife. I'm like, I turned beet red. And there's pictures to prove it in General Hiller's books. I turned beet red.
That's awesome.
And the whole company's laughing. I'm like, yeah,
man, that's a story.
It's a story.
Yeah, what a way to meet the CDS.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Vance came down here and kissed one of us on the cheek? Man, I can't even imagine that. That's crazy.
I can imagine. I've met Vance a couple times.
Oh, really?
He's a pretty solid dude.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's a royal too, man. He's
also,
RCR.
Yeah.
I don't think you ever forget that, man, even if you get to the top.
That's true. I've been in his office. There's a lot of RCR paraphernalia in that office.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's that regimental, that's that love.
Yeah, you never hang it up, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Christmas ends. The rest of the tour goes by relatively well from that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so you rotate back to Canada.
So I'm going to say it goes relatively well for Charles Company and 9 Platoon.
Okay.
But there are still casualties that occur on 306.
Okay.
Specifically, and most notably, Corporal Albert Storm is killed by an SVB IED, and Chief.
And that's a suicide vehicle-borne
improvised explosive device. And he's driving for the RSM, Chief Warrant Officer Gerard, and they're both killed by the suicide vehicle-borne
man.
IED.
The RSM.
The RSM.
The Regimental Sergeant Major, who is essentially the highest blue collar, if you want to call it that way, the NCO of the battalion. And man, for the odds of that happening.
Yeah. He had acquired his own Bison. So a Bison is like a pickup truck, but it's an armored vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a utility armored vehicle. There's no fancy weapon systems on it. There's no surveillance suite or anything like that. It's just a hollow back with benches in it and 8 wheels.
Mm-hmm.
He had acquired himself one of these in order to pack it full of care packages and goodies and supplies and ammo and all this stuff for the troops, specifically for the troops. So because 9 Attack would always roll to where ticks were happening, right? So where there's ticks or troops in contact, there's going to be troops. So and he's there to help maintain morale, right? So had he been in a lab, he may still be here today. It's hard to tell, right?
Yeah.
But because he was in that Bison, we lost him.
Sucks.
Yeah.
What was it like for you guys to lose like that, like all these people?
These are legends in the battalion. You know what I mean? Frank Mellish, Rick Nolan. These are legends of the battalion. Chief Warrant Officer Gerard. We had a parade where he yelled at us because they changed the sign. So the sign out front of 1RCR, right? 1st Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment, Victoria Barracks, Ironman champions, 2019. We changed it for 306. We took the 1RCR sign down. We put Task Force 306 and we had everybody's cat badge on the sign, right? So we're having a big battle group parade in Petawawa, and he's yelling at us like, if you don't want to fucking be here, there's the gates. Leave. And then he points at the sign. He's like, we changed our fucking sign to bring you all in. And we're like, wow. Super passionate dude.
Yeah.
Super smart guy. Super amazing RSM. He's the guy with no unissued vests. All right, Oppadusa's here. Yeah, you can wear your non-issued vest for Oppadusa. Oppadusa never ends. Well played, sir. Well played. Still towed the line, right? Gave a little bit, but in reality, yeah. Wear your stuff. Right. These are legends of the battalion, and you're losing them. So how does that impact you? It's hard, you know. These guys who you were seeing as invincible. Yeah. Right. The old man's invincible. He can't go down, and then he does. Well, that really puts a dent in your armor as well. It's hard to cope. But you do. You get on with it. Yeah.
Coming back from that kind of deployment, did you have any thoughts about maybe changing up careers?
No. I had thoughts of I was going to try out for Special Forces at one point when I was a much younger, slimmer man.
Yeah, that's when they're standing up like CSOR, I guess.
CSOR was just standing up, right?
Yeah.
So my perception of CANSOF is there's a bar you have to meet in order to join one of those units. Right? And the bar for JTF2, in my opinion, was really high. It's something that when I looked at that bar, I was like, wow, we can't reach that bar. Let's just be good at Warrant here. But then CSOR came along, and the perception, it's not how it is, the perception is that the bar was much lower and much more attainable.
Okay.
And you could see it because the way they stood CSOR up was they just took a company from 3RCR, the best and brightest guys from 3RCR, and then they put them through commando training and made a commando unit. So a lot of guys here at the time were like, well, if they can do that, I can do that.
Yeah.
So then you get into the training mode and start putting yourself through the paces, and then it just never panned out for me, right? I never.
Did you guys understand them to be like essentially like some shock action ranger battalion to like
That's what the
provide force protection for like the hill?
That's what the initial
Perception
was, right?
Okay.
They're going to do the outer cordon. They're going to do the 75th Ranger Regiment style operations, and then JTF2 is going to do the cool, sexy black hostage rescue, Zero Dark 30 kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I just never got around to it.
Okay.
Right. Family. Not to blame my family, but I started a family, and
yeah,
and
priorities changed.
Priorities changed. Yeah. Exactly.
So then, from that point, you decide to carry on with your career.
Yeah.
So what happens? Like, did you get awarded the medal like right away, like your Medal of Valor?
No.
What like?
So some dudes, like Jesse, got his medal almost right away.
Okay.
Because it was such a high profile and so easy to process that he got his almost immediately, right? But mine took a while to work its way through the system.
Yeah, I think right here on the actual citation it says it was technically awarded in March 15, 2010 and invested. I guess that's when they actually presented to you in June 10th, 2011. It's saying here. I don't know if that's actually the same date, but
that's accurate.
Yeah. Administration does take a while sometimes. Man, you know, the fact that they actually presented it to you, that probably meant a lot, I guess. But how'd you feel, like knowing that you were about to get something like that? Because all these years went by.
It's
and
surreal.
you know,
they call you into the office and you're like, well, I'm in shit again.
Classic.
Right? You go up and see the CO. Oh, they never get to see the CO.
Yeah.
So you go in and they're like, instead of the RSM being angry and telling you to take your hat off, like, oh, come on in, sit on the couch, hang out. Just wait for the CO. And you're like, well, this is weird. All right. And then the CO comes in and hands you the big email chain, like, hey, check that out. And you read it and you're like, okay, is this the correct Master Corporal LeBlanc? Because there's like 4 of us in this unit, and maybe you have the wrong guy. I wouldn't want to take his medal. Like that's. And they're like, no, that's your service number. That's your initials.
Are you reading your citation at the time?
Reading the citation.
Oh,
at the time.
man.
And it's like congratulations from like the CDS, and then the email chain goes down from there.
Whoa.
And you're like, all right.
Whoa.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Were you also awarded the Sacrifice Medal at the same time?
Nope. So at the time I was working at range control.
Yeah.
Here on base, and I was awarded the Sacrifice Medal by the garrison commander in the kitchenette at range control.
Yeah.
Probably not the best parade for that.
Yeah.
That's where I got my Sacrifice Medal.
Okay.
Yeah. Sacrifice Medals, again, that's a little bit easier process, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's super straightforward. Is wounded, gets medal.
Speaking of that, I actually met somebody. I went to Holland on Operation Distinction, and that was essentially a commemorative type of, technically a tasking where we did facilitate a lot of parades in the Netherlands to commemorate the 70th liberation of the Netherlands from the Germans, actually, back in World War II. So we were there for this parade, and I met this guy. He was actually the image tech, so that means his job in the military is to capture photos and capture a lot of like good materials for the military to use products for. And so essentially I meet this guy on this bus ride, and everyone's wearing their dress uniforms. And at the time, you know, I'm like a young dude and I'm looking around the bus because everybody essentially that was on that tasking was from some different unit in the entire military. And everybody's unit played a role in the liberation of the Netherlands. So we all got to be there. And the cool story about this is when I looked over to this one person, the image tech, I noticed obviously he had like a rack on his chest of a bunch of different medals and decorations. But what I did notice specifically was that not only did he have a sacrifice medal, I also noticed he had the old school wound stripe. And at the time, I had no idea what that is. So I remember asking this guy, I'm like, hey man, I think his name was Jordan at the time. I'm like, hey man, like, what's that on your arm? And I remember him telling me like, oh, this is a wound stripe. And I'm like, oh, okay. What's that? You know, what's that for, if you don't mind? And he was one of the guys involved in that 810 friendly fire incident. And he was presented that award at the time. Yeah. And yeah, that was my first introduction to that, which is no longer the current award for being wounded. But yeah, it was interesting to see that decoration at the time and understand that these people, like you can't judge a book by its cover. Cause like when I look at this guy, I'm like image tech. I'm like whatever, bud. But then you start to realize like, hey man, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, because once you start getting to know these people, you start realizing like everybody's got a past, and some of these pasts, like you don't want to disregard a person based off of one fact that you might know about them. And it turns out that that person was an infantryman, a soldier, just like much like as I was, and probably served his country to a more deeper level than I ever feel like I ever did, because he was involved in direct combat and was wounded. And so that taught me a lot, not just about judging a book by its cover, but trying to value people for more than just the superficial things in the world. But yeah, keeping the conversation continuing here. So after Afghanistan, where'd your career go?
So I got promoted to sergeant in 2008.
Right on.
Yeah, so 8-year sergeant. Pretty good.
Yeah.
And from there, hung out as a sergeant. I spent a year at range control.
Okay.
Due to some disciplinary issues.
Oh, for sure.
Whatever.
It happens.
Yeah. And then came back to the first and finest and
Right on.
section commander, lab sergeant.
Hey.
Lab sergeant for several years. Yeah. And then got to go on Roto Zero to Ukraine.
Okay.
In 2015. That was an interesting tour.
First troops in Ukraine.
First troops in Ukraine, yeah.
And that's what rotation 0 means, right?
Rotation
Yeah.
0, yeah.
Wow. So you deployed to your third theater of operation at this point now.
Yeah.
That's very different, I guess, from Bosnia, Afghanistan, and now Ukraine.
All three of my deployments have been different mission sets that the infantry covers. So, and then this next one's going to be another mission set. So,
Your third deployment, you deployed as a lab sergeant?
so no, section commander, because we weren't doing lab sergeants in Ukraine.
Okay.
We were doing
Dismounted?
not dismounted, but we didn't have vehicles.
Right.
Right. So we weren't doing light infantry stuff. We were doing mechanized infantry stuff, but we didn't bring our labs to do it. Right. We were trying to train Ukrainian companies, mechanized companies, to do mechanized stuff to a higher level than what they were doing.
Okay.
At the time.
Right on.
Yeah.
So when you deployed to Ukraine, is this is when you had children?
Yep.
On this deployment, you never had children when you went to Afghanistan?
Nope.
Okay.
Not that I knew of.
Yeah. I mean, that's difficult deploying when you have families back home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about like how do you kind of manage that? Because that's hard.
Yeah.
For sure. Leaving your people back.
What makes it easier is knowing that your support network back home is solid.
Okay.
Right. Because my wife is also in the military, she understands what's expected of a military member and what kind of things are available to support her. right? So she's a big girl. She can solve her own problems. I don't have to worry about all the problems she's having at home because she's got that on lock. No big deal. All I have to worry about is making a Skype call at the right time so that I can wish Parker a happy birthday or wish Cooper a happy birthday or Merry Christmas or whatever it is that we're skipping
Keeping
out
in
on.
touch. Yeah.
Keeping in touch, yeah.
But at the same time, the military did have a support network back here for your family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
It helps that. So this unit has a support network for spouses. The unit that she was with, which she's still with at the time, right? 2 CER, they have a support network for deployed spouses. So she has like a double coverage.
Right on.
Right? She has 1 RCR that's backing her up, and she has 2 CER that's backing her up.
That's good.
So she has 2 chains of commands that are looking out for her, which is ideal.
Yeah.
Right? So again, it's something I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, because it's a difficult time as much as for you, for them as well.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so you come back from Ukraine now. Like, what are you thinking at this point in your career? Like, do you want to continue soldiering? Did you feel like after your initial deployments, did you feel more compelled to serve?
So your reasons for serving change as you experience more and as you grow and as you age.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So initially it's the thrill of it, it's the adventure, right? And then you join and you go through some adventure, and then after that it's for the brothers. Right? I need to be there to help my brothers, because if I'm not there, who's going to be?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I want to be there for that.
So this goes beyond now. It's about you. It's about the team.
Yeah.
It's about
not
brothers.
necessarily the team as a whole big picture.
Right.
It's the dude to your left and right. Right? And that's, I think after Afghanistan, that's what everybody was focusing on, was the dude to your left and right.
Okay.
Right? But then as you go higher in rank and go further in age, you start looking at, well, these aren't my brothers anymore. Now these are, quote unquote, my children, right? So you have to raise these children up so that they can carry on all the traditions and all the good shit that you know, because you're not always going to be here, right?
Mm-hmm. And as with age and experience, that whole family context changes your role.
Yeah.
You go from being maybe the young kid in the platoon
Yeah.
to a brother to now like a father, an uncle figure, you know?
You go from being the youngest kid that can do whatever he wants and mom and dad just pick him up and dust him off and carry on, to the middle brother that is now there's more expected of him, right? So to set the example for your younger brother. And then there's the older brother who now he's sheltering these younger brothers, and then you're a parental figure after that, right?
Yeah.
You're a mom, you're a dad, you're trying to teach these guys like right from wrong and left from right and all the good shit that you know, and try to keep them out of the bad shit that you experienced, right?
Because in the military, the chain of command plays a huge role. That's like a big part of navigating your career, is navigating it, you know, through the chain of command. Eventually, any administration that comes up, any problems that come up in your life, you're usually going to your 2IC, your section commander, like, hey, this just happened, or this is happening now. Like, I need help, or I need to let you know.
Yeah.
And definitely being a well-equipped section commander at 2IC with understanding, you know, like, this is what could happen in my role. Like, people can depend on me, and I need to be prepared to hopefully get these guys the resources or be able to listen sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they need. They just need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, in your experiences, you might have experienced that.
There's been a few times where someone's done something and they've earned a jacking,
Yeah.
but then you can see as the jacking is occurring, there's something not right here.
Right.
So once the jacking is over, it ends, and now it's okay. What's going on? I know you're smarter than that. Why did you do this?
Right.
And then sometimes the tears flow, and sometimes the emotions come out, and the stress is relieved, and all the cards are laid on the table, and now you can go from the disciplinarian mode to the mentor mode.
Right.
Right.
And that's a huge part of our career, our whole service, mentoring.
Yeah. And
like, with bringing the conversation to this aspect, like, what's mentorship mean to you?
So, my career has been a success because people have made it a success. Partly due to my own stick-to-itiveness, but mostly due to people showing me the right way to do things and sometimes the wrong way to do things.
Right.
So mentoring to me is to turn around and take all this knowledge that I have and try and boil it down into a nice thick syrup and give it to the guys who are below me. So that's what I was talking about when like the roles changed, right? I'm no longer the brother. Now I'm the father. Now I'm telling you how to change your oil and how to do your taxes,
Right.
and that stuff. Instead of like, here's how you get away with this, and here's how you do that. Now, don't worry, I'll cover for you. There's no more covering anymore. Now it's, listen, you have to do this, right?
There's more responsibility, I
There's
guess.
more
associated.
responsibility associated with being in this position than there is with being in, say, your position, right? Not to degrade your position, because
No,
it's
no,
also
no.
a super important position. Every leadership position has its role and has its place and has a super important role to play in the machine. So,
But going from the section 2IC to like a platoon 2IC, you got way more people to manage. And all my administration eventually just goes through you.
Right.
Right? So,
yeah. But it's, if I don't mentor, like, well, let's say we're in the same platoon. If I don't mentor you properly as a section 2IC, I'm creating more work for myself
yeah.
in the long run. And I am naturally an incredibly lazy person. So in order for me to maintain my level of laziness, I have to create an extreme level of efficiency within my working area.
In your operating
In
environment.
my operating environment.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if I mentor you properly, the problems that you're going to see, you can handle yourself.
Right.
And I will never know about them. And I'll be confident that they're being handled properly because I'm the one that told you or mentored you in how to do that, right? And we'll give an example, like private text messages me directly, hey, I want to do this with my leave. Cool. So I tell them here's how you should go about doing this with that leave. Write a memo. Here's a template. Who's your section 2IC? He's like, oh, it's this guy. So then I text message that guy like, hey, here's what's happening. This guy's doing this. You need to explain to him that this isn't the way that things are done. Don't get mad. Don't get upset. Just tell him like, hey, I can help you with that. You don't need to bother the warrant. That comes through me. I can help you with that.
That's communication right there.
Yeah.
That's a good way of applying communication because you have the ability to handle that in other ways. You can you could be very disciplinary in how you handle that.
I can just take a screenshot of those text messages, send them to that 2IC, and put them on blast.
Both of them on blast.
Right? Yeah. Or both of them. Put the whole platoon on blast.
Yeah.
But is that really gonna solve anything? Probably not. It's probably just gonna turn me into an asshole. And then because there's a level of respect there, right? I've shown them a level of respect. They can show me the same level of respect.
Yeah.
If I just go around disrespecting everyone, that's well within my scope as a warrant officer in the Canadian Forces, is to just disrespect everyone in my platoon if I want. It's not going to make me a good warrant. I'll probably be a warrant for a very long time. But it's also going to make those people look at me and go, well, that's not the way to do things.
That's not a leader.
That's not a leader. That's not a mentor. That's just a bully.
Yeah.
But
I like to identify that, there is a distinguished difference between being a leader and being a person who identifies as a commander or even a manager, if you want to replace it with that term. I was taught that on my leadership course. I continue to teach that. I believe in it. I believe that leadership is heavily on the aspects of inspiring and empowering your people. And through leadership, you can really value a lot of the abilities and skills of people, whereas management might not necessarily allow you to see that. I think sometimes we get caught up with the management side and we start to look at things superficially. And we can't see beyond that sometimes with that kind of attitude, I would like to say, when it comes to dealing with our people. And I'm very glad to, communicate and to talk to you and to understand like how you think. I think it's important. Sometimes there's turnaround here, so we get new bosses, and sometimes we don't really get the chance to really get to know everybody that we work with. I think it's important to people, especially the young guys out here who are interested in becoming leaders, to understand what your perspective is on it. And I'm sure your platoon gets to really get to know you, but I think it's important for the whole battalion to hopefully get an idea.
it's super hard with the time we're in right now with the COVID and stuff to get to really get to know the guys in the platoon, because they're all I see is a text message about. That's that.
Do you have a particular way you like to, I don't know, deal with that issue with the COVID situation and not being able to physically be there with all your guys?
So everybody's got a different family situation.
Yeah.
Right. And just because some dude's living in the shacks doesn't mean he has all day to sit and pay attention to what you're blasting out on a phone, right? So we're trying, we're doing Microsoft Teams stuff, but we're keeping it short and sweet and to the point. Right? Once a week, maybe a meeting on Microsoft Teams. Professional development is a big thing, right? And we're trying to boil that down into instead of giving them something to do every day, here's the chunk of work I want you to do. You can eat this sandwich however you want. If you want to sit down and eat it all at once, it's up to you. If you want to eat a bite a night, that's up to you. As long as at the end of the week you have your PD sent back to be evaluated, right?
So you're communicating these expectations to these people, and you're giving them that freedom.
Yeah.
But also that freedom to
just because we have a guy in the shacks, he's not doing anything. Fine. We have another guy who's got 2 kids, and they're still doing homeschool. They're still doing Google Classroom stuff.
Yeah.
And mom is a frontline worker, so she's not in the house. So it's just daddy daycare, and he's got to do all the homeschooling. So he's got to teach his son long division. They don't teach you that in school anymore. So now he's trying to wrap his mind around this, right? And the other one's doing French immersion, but he doesn't have a French language profile. So now he's got to muddle his way through French. And then at the same time, we're giving him PD to do. And there's reports and returns that need to come in. So he's got all this stuff to manage. And there's this illness out there, adding stress to his family. And his wife is coming home. He has a disinfector in the driveway. There's that guy. And then there's another guy who doesn't live in the shacks, but he also likes to fish. So he just does his PD, and then he was fishing for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
So you have all these different spectrums of who's doing what. You have to be able to hit all those guys, but to a degree where you're not disrupting everything, right?
To a degree. And that comes with judgment.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that plays another
we
big
give
role.
them the freedom to judge it, right?
Yeah.
Here's your shit sandwich. You have to eat it. Figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on. So with regards to the mentorship, I know you talked a little bit about legends, right, at the battalion. Do you have any particular role models that were, or you know what? Do you have anybody in particular that's a mentor to you right now? Or did you have anybody?
I've had a lot of mentors.
Anybody that comes to mind?
Some of them are going to sound cheesy because some people are going to watch us and be like, why did you pick that guy?
Yeah.
The most immediate one that comes to mind is M.W. Hamilton. Tracy Hamilton from Charles Company. He has a way of running his company as a sergeant major that is completely different from
unorthodox.
Unorthodox.
Okay.
Perfect word. When I came in to 7 Platoon, he had come in from 3 RCR, and our leaves didn't line up. So he was on leave while I had come in, and then I had went on leave, and then he had come back to work. So my first day back to work after summer leave, we're running the platoon, right? The guys are downstairs. I go see CQ at maybe 2 o'clock. Go see CQ. Hey, CQ, it's a nice day out. You got anything for the guys? I want to send them home. CQ, no, we're good. Do what you need to do. Cool. And then traditionally, you would go up to the sergeant major and be like, hey, sir, CQ's good. Everything's good. We're cleaned up downstairs. Can I let the guys go a little bit early? I go in there and ask him, hey, can I let the guys go early? And he just looks at me and he's like, don't ever come in here and ask me that again. And I was like, oh shit. I've already made the sergeant major mad. It's the first day. And I'm looking at him like, oh, sorry. What time is dismissal? And he's like, I don't care. You know where your guys are. You know what has to be done. They all have phones.
Okay.
Dismiss them whenever you want. All right. Okay. So from then on, we were just like, oh, it's 1 o'clock. Is anything going on? Let's go. Give you the freedom to manage your platoon the way you want to manage your platoon. And from there, we implemented half-day PT and then 2 hours of classroom work.
Right on.
After lunch, right?
trying to use it to your like the best benefit.
Yeah. So you don't want to take that rope and be like, just run with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to show up on 8 to 9 is PT, and then at 9:30 we're going to do dismissal and see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going to bite you in the ass.
Oh yeah.
You want to take the gem you've been given and then use it. Right? Yeah. So he's an interesting character, and I consider him a mentor.
You know, speaking of him too, like I think I only had like a one real interaction with MW Hamilton, and like it was when we did a laugh pickup, and man, I'll tell you guys about this one. Like this was not fun because that day the laugh pickup that I was talking about,
You're talking about like from the railhead?
Yeah. This is one of them. I think I did 2, maybe 3.
So another thing about Sergeant Hamilton is he will, because he was given a tap fee as a sergeant major.
Yeah.
He just fucking owned that tap fee. So every time that tap fee had to go to maintenance, he would drive it over to maintenance or
Okay.
go with it.
He took personal responsibility for it.
Or if it's going on the railhead, okay, I'll crew command it to the railhead.
That's right. So he was there because he was going to drive his vehicle back.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's why I saw him there. And knowing that now, like, it makes more sense. But anyways, MW Hamilton was there. And so, like, you know, to back this up, I got, like, information that basically show up there. I don't know if I was told 4 originally. It got changed to 6. But anyways, the timings were off. My timing was off, and then MW Hamilton's timing was different. So anyways, he showed up like at 4, man. 4 in the morning. And so what happened is that he calls me and my driver, and he has our list, and essentially he's like, hey, man, you guys are supposed to be here right now. It doesn't mix up with timings. We're going to sort it out, but just need to know. Long story short, we were going to meet him there at the railhead, right? We were going to go with Chalk 2 now because of the timing mix up. So essentially, we all get to Prescott. You know, he's been there. I don't know what time he got there. Maybe he got there before 4 o'clock, probably. But he's been up since early, you know? And man, this day kind of turned into a bit of a shit show. I probably shouldn't be saying this stuff, but it turned into a bit of a shit show. So this laugh pickup plan was for me with Chalk 2, show up, pick up my boat, and get out. I think it was a top B at the time. But anyways, that plan didn't happen. Everything got delayed. So MW Hamilton, in theory, should have probably been done his day by maybe noon, you know, maybe even earlier. But he was there till the last chalk left. There was multiple chalks, multiple crews coming through, and he was there until the very end. And I was amazed because he absolutely did not need to be there. And I've seen plenty of NCOs just be like, hey, man, Sergeant, you're going to be the man in charge, bro. There's no need for all of us to be here, which is absolutely true. There is no need. But he made the decision to be there, to be the last man there, you know, till the very end. And there's something that speaks to that kind of attitude. And I absolutely respect that attitude.
I can't think off the top of my head of a single infantry corps senior NCO that I've ever met where that wouldn't do something like that.
Yeah.
You know, we're all trained to do that, right?
That's like our culture.
Leaders eat last.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you stay until it's done and then you go.
Yeah.
A lot of other trades don't.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't do that.
I heard the Navy doesn't really do that, but I could be wrong. I won't talk shit.
The Navy is a different culture.
Yeah.
And they're very officer-centric, right? Same with the Air Force, very officer-centric. Whereas the Army is very NCO heavy.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
NCOs influence a lot of things in the Army. But on a lot of trades have problems because they don't benefit from the type of mentoring that we have here. Every day you come to work in the infantry corps, you're being mentored.
Hell yeah.
You may or may not know it. You may or may not see it, but every day you come into work, somebody is setting an example and you're either learning from it or you're learning what not to do.
Right.
Through
observation sometimes.
Through observation and through experience. And that's how we learn a lot of things as NCOs is through observation and experience. Whereas the officer corps learns it the opposite way. Here's the book on how to do it. Now we're going to do it, and now you know it. Right. Whereas we go, here's how you do it. Do it for X number of years. Okay, here's the book, and now we're going to test you. Right. You've been doing it for.
And that's what comes back to this whole blue collar stream, this white collar stream, executive, and you got the management and the executioners who get the task complete. And it's a very important relationship, and there's a technical term for it that they go hand in hand, and they feed off each other, and it's important. And I absolutely love the infantry because of the hardships that we endure, and that plays, I think, a significant role into us valuing these like aspects of leadership, communication, leading by example. I mean, like you could list it for days, but those leadership principles definitely mean a lot to us in the infantry. Yeah, man. With regards to leadership, if you had to give any advice to some of the young guys in the platoons, what makes a good follower?
What makes a good follower? Buying into the plan is the first one, right?
Like in the sense of believing in it or having faith in the plan?
So what normally happens upstairs, right? Someone will come up with a plan. And either it's a good plan or it's a bad plan.
Yeah.
But eventually someone decides this is the plan.
Right.
If you go downstairs and go, this is the shitty fucking plan we came up with, and you'll never believe what this guy said, and now we have to go out and do this. Everybody below you is going to be like, wow, this is fucking stupid and I don't want to do it.
Right.
So you have to, once that path is set, you have to be like, this is the path we're going down. Let's go. Right? And as a follower, you have to say, yep, that's the path. Let's go. You have to buy into the plan. There's a time for criticism of the plan. There's a time for back and forth. There's a time for talking about it. It's usually not in front of the whole body, right?
Right.
It's the big giant heads upstairs. That's back. And then you have to buy into that plan.
Right. And that comes down to even when you're teaching.
Yeah.
When you're teaching material. And you know, like this material is dry.
Yeah.
Or you know this material isn't the most interesting stuff in the world, man. But if you say that to your people, they're going to be like, all right, whatever. Turn, like, off mode or rest mode, right? When they're learning. And you don't really get the learning happening. But if you, as a leader, you know that stuff, use it to your advantage in the sense of, man, bring the passion out. Because try to remember why you're here. And hopefully that's enough for you to be like, I'm going to turn this dry stuff maybe into either something exciting or at the very least, don't make it any worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, right on. When it comes to experiencing like hard times, I know you're definitely a person who has, your experiences with that. When it comes to navigating them in your day-to-day and this time in your life, how do you practice navigating through that hard times? Or how do you cope?
The best, I think, one of the ways I cope is knowing that hard times don't normally last.
Okay.
Right. So,
accepting like these truths or these realities.
Yeah. Like this is gonna suck. We're gonna get through it.
Right.
It's gonna be a new day tomorrow. It's gonna be you're gonna have a new boss. Right. Next year you're gonna have. We're gonna get posted. We're gonna do this. So whatever you're going through, there's going to be an end to it.
Yeah.
You just have to slog through it until that end comes. Maybe you can't see it, but everybody knows it's there. You know it's there. You know it's coming. You know the index is near. You just have to make it to that next meal. Make it to that next. Make it to the next day. Make it to the next.
Make these short goals to get you through.
Yeah. Yeah. Just yeah. That's.
I think it comes back to like these mental resiliency techniques.
Yeah. Short attainable goals. Right?
Yeah, And like I'm learning that right now in my own training. We're dissecting that stuff, and I think it plays a huge role. And they teach us that stuff in battle school when you go through, because I had to teach it to my guys, and it wasn't until later where I really started valuing that stuff.
That happened to me in battle school. I quit battle school 3 times.
Really?
Yep. And the last time I quit, I was like, I'm serious. I'm done this time. Because the other 2 times the instructors would convince you like, oh no, it's not that bad. Take your VR back. Okay, I'll take it back. But the last time I was like, no, I'm done. Well, what got me to stay was like, oh, like we're gonna put your VR in, but next week we're throwing grenades. So just stay till next week. All right, I'll stay till next week. So I stay till next week and throw a grenade, and then next week we're doing rocket launchers. Why don't you stay till next week? Stay till next week. And by the time I realized what was happening, they're like, well, next week is grad week.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm in the infantry now. Great. Well,
so your staff, whether they were deliberately knowing that they're setting short-term goals for you, like that was naturally allowing yourself to believe in that and set that up for yourself.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was learning about short-term attainable goals.
Yeah.
Without someone saying it, right?
That's powerful.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of personalities on the internet now who talk about leadership and mentoring and all this stuff. And a lot of people look at it and they're like, this is new, this is revolutionary, this is something we've never seen before. But what they don't realize is it's been happening the entire time, but nobody's been sitting down and boiling it down into a 40-minute podcast or a TED Talk or whatever. It's just been dudes doing the work, not looking. I guess social media is a really big tool for disseminating this information.
It is. Both misinformation and good information.
Yeah, well,
You gotta be careful, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, let's keep this conversation. Actually, can I ask you right now, are you okay right now? Do you gotta take a washroom break? You know what I mean? You good to go? All right, let's keep sending it. You good, Perry? All right, let's send it. Let's move the conversation forward to purpose. All right, I think this is a big deal. I'm trying to really understand this concept myself and trying to embody, trying to find meaning in my own life. Can I ask you, what does having purpose mean to you?
Purpose is what gets you out of bed and going in the morning, right? It's the driving factor, whether it's financial stability for your family, whether it's passing on that corporate knowledge that we have to junior soldiers, or it's achieving a goal that you have, like going for selection and going off to CANSOF. These are the things that get you to get your boots on, right?
Yeah. Something that essentially captures that interest in that and brings out the passion in you towards something meaningful, I guess. And that's different for everybody. That's different for everybody here. No matter if we're all infantry soldiers, we're all the same age, or we all came from the same hometown, we're all different people with different ideas. And success kind of means a little bit different to all of us.
Yeah.
So with that being said, did your service in Afghanistan, like going through combat, those experiences, losing people, did any of that kind of stuff change your outlook on purpose?
So going through Afghanistan, it showed me a lot of something we do in the infantry, which is training your subordinate to take your position. And I've used this example for several guys who got out and asked me for a job reference. Places would phone me up, specifically fire departments.
Okay.
I got 2 guys jobs as firefighters. I take full credit for it.
Right on.
100%.
Hey.
We were always training our guys to take over for us, right? So we're always training them to act 2 up above their rank level. So, yeah, we're one of the only organizations that does that, right? If you go to any other trade or any other job, you don't want to train the people that are below you to do your job, because then they will take your job. Well, that's exactly what I want in the infantry, right? I want Master Corporal so-and-so to Master Corporal Beckford, for example. I want Master Corporal Beckford to be the platoon 2IC. I want him to succeed at all those levels in between.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to move up. I want that, right? I want to pass on this knowledge so that he can succeed. And that's something that gives me purpose and gives me drive, right? Not just Beckford specifically, but like all the dudes.
Right.
I have a certain level of knowledge. I want to pass that on so that those people can succeed where I may have faltered.
I think in the infantry, not only do we have culture as a profession, but we have culture as leaders. Like, the NCOs, you guys wear the red sash. Like, that's a specific symbolic aspect of our culture. And I was talking to Sergeant Briggs a little bit about it, but I think it's like little things like that, whether it's our company flag, whether it's the red sash on the NCO, but these kind of things reflect our culture and meaning to us. And it kind of plays a role into reminding ourselves of not what we're doing this for essentially, but how powerful the position that we're in, how we can make such an impact, like having the red sash. Like, you're in a position of not only authority, but you're in a position to really mentor and play an influential role in shaping the battalion at a certain level. We talked a little bit about the camaraderie aspect of it, but do you feel like, actually, I don't even know if this is worth saying it after all these experiences, if your outlook on camaraderie has changed, but I'd imagine that it's grown even stronger, if anything.
So I find as I'm growing older, I'm partaking more in exercises that are supposed to increase camaraderie, specifically the mess.
Okay.
Right. As a young sergeant in 2008, didn't like the mess. Didn't have any friends there.
Can you tell people what the mess is? From
So
your
the mess is traditionally the mess is somewhere where the certain ranks would go to socialize and basically have dinner, right? So
it's like a pub house, clubhouse.
It's like a clubhouse, dinner house, kind of an atmosphere, right? So you have a junior ranks mess, and when you join the Army, you're automatically, or the Navy or the Air Force, you're automatically part of the junior ranks mess. When you join as an officer, you're automatically part of the officers mess. But the senior NCO's mess is the only mess where you get promoted into it, right? So it's an exclusive club. The problem when you're an 8-year sergeant and you get promoted into the mess is that there are no other 8-year sergeants in the mess.
It's unorthodox.
You don't want to go. So it used to be, if I went to the mess, it was like that scene in Star Wars where Luke goes into the canteen, right? And there's the guy at the bar and like, I don't like you.
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. He doesn't like you either. Yeah, all right.
Oh yeah.
You just do what you have to do at the mess and then you leave immediately. But now I'm finding that I enjoy going to the mess, right? Because I have friends there. We can hang out. We can talk. We can shoot the shit. We can talk shop. We can not talk shop at all. And it really increases that camaraderie because there's guys you went up with who are in the mess who you don't see every day, right? There's only one platoon warrant in platoon. And the other ones are doing other stuff. So the only time you ever see those guys usually is either in the field or in the mess.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I enjoy the mess.
Speaking of that, like, you know, becoming an 8-year sergeant, a 5-year master corporal, right? And it kind of brings me back to myself.
So just as a caveat, 20-year warrant officer.
20 years.
So it all evens out. It all evens out.
That's right.
You might ride the wave, but it'll crash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But going back to like even my career, I can kind of relate, man, because like I was sent on my PLQ. I did Mod 6, so I did Mod 6 as well. But man, when I got sent on mine, I was a 2.5-year reservist.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So if you think coming through the Reg Force and like being maybe 3, 4, 5 years in is kind of too early, imagine being 2.5 years in. This is 2012. So just to get an understanding of who the candidates were, who my bunkmates were, these are all minimum 1 tour to Afghanistan battle group veterans, okay? These are not just dudes like me, okay? These guys got some hair on their chest to say the least, all right? And so pretty much my whole section had 1 deployment to Afghanistan minus me and maybe 1 other person. And some of them had multiple, okay? One of those guys, I don't want to drop his name right now, but, you know, wounded in Afghanistan, wakes up in Germany, okay? Only to recover, to get back on the horse, to redeploy back to Afghanistan for his second deployment. These are the type of people I was on a leadership course with, okay? So just to put in perspective, yeah, like I kind of felt like maybe at the time, I don't know if I should be here, all right? And all I can say at that point, and I don't want to, you know, keep going down this road, is you're either a leader or you're not. Okay? You're either going to step up and be concerned about the well-being of your people, or you're not. And sometimes that's instinctive. And you know what? I believe that everybody can learn. And if you're a person who doesn't possess those skills, I think maybe you can learn, maybe, but only if you want to. And I learned as a young person, it's very difficult to be a leader. It is very difficult. It is very demanding. There's a lot of responsibility and expectations involved in that. And it requires a lot of commitment. And I'm proud to say that I learned a lot on course from my roommates that took me under their wing. And I appreciate that a lot. Because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't have made it through that course. And I learned a lot after that course too. And I believe in the learning curve and stuff like that. But enough about me. Definitely bringing the conversation back to you, Warrant. I want to talk about self-improvement. How is self-improvement important to you?
Self-improvement is something that I actually I struggle with.
Okay.
It's something that's always in the back of my mind. I know I have weaknesses, and this is one of the things that it used to be one of the leadership traits, right? Know your strengths and weaknesses, know your people's strengths and weaknesses, and then employ them up to their capabilities, something like that, right? They've changed them so much that I don't have the memories, but there was one in there like that, and there was know your weaknesses and improve on them. Was one of the other ones too. So I try to do that, but yeah, I think some of the stuff I have is lacking, but some of the stuff is pretty good to go.
I think that's a lot of people, out there, and it's just about like acknowledging what's important at the time.
Acknowledge what you're good at, acknowledge what you're not good at, fix the things you're not good at, maintain the things you're good at.
And it's not just easy like that. Sometimes it matters about what's relevant at the time.
Yeah.
What's worth focusing on right now. Because some people's lives can get very, very
that's a difficult thing to manage, right?
Yeah.
Because if, let's say, physical fitness,
right,
for example, that's something I struggle with. And it's something I struggle with because my priorities are not completely in line with where they should be. My priorities are corporate knowledge, mentoring, passing that on. But then as soon as work is done, my priority is family.
Family.
Right? Spend time with the family, do stuff with the family. My own personal decompression, right? And there leaves very little time for physical fitness.
Right.
So I do as much as I can when I can, but it's lacking. I know that. I know I have to improve that. And it's difficult to manage that time. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's something. Self-improvement is important. It's difficult to. It's only 24 hours in the day.
It's all good. Hey,
right.
You know what I can say though about what you're saying is you can't really practice self-improvement unless you acknowledge what needs to be improved.
Right.
And I was talking to like Buddy about it, and I'm like, if we don't talk about the problems, our problems that exist, if we're not honest with ourselves, then we'll never acknowledge what's wrong. And if you don't acknowledge what's wrong, how can you ever make a plan to do something about it? Because if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.
That's right.
And you'll never be able to take, I think, deliberate or meaningful action towards overcoming.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to what's happening in your life, what's important at the time, right? And being able to adapt, right? Because, life happens, man. And sometimes you got to change what's important. Let's carry on here, man. How do you like to learn?
I like the way we learn in the Army, which is you're going to go out and you're going to do it. You're going to participate in it. And then
hands-on.
When you get pretty good at it, we're going to give you a test, and then you've learned it. There you go. I really enjoy that.
And getting those reps in, I think, is important.
Yeah. So and I think this is something that we do really well, right? The young private will come in, and he'll do 4 years as a private, and then he'll get promoted to corporal. But in those 4 years, he's done how many section attacks?
Right.
Who knows?
Or different positions too in those section attacks.
Positions in those section attacks.
Yeah.
And then he gets promoted to corporal, and he's still doing those section attacks, but now he's getting, maybe he's been the section 2IC for a couple section attacks. Maybe he's been on a lab crew for a little bit. Maybe he's done this, maybe he's done that. So he's seeing different angles of that section attack.
Right.
By the time he goes to PLQ and he goes to get hard assessed on his section attack, he's done 1 million reps. You do that, just do one more.
Yeah.
Just do one more, but now you're the boss. And then you get the check in the box. There you go.
Yeah.
And then the learning doesn't stop there, because now he's doing it again, but now he's in charge. Right? So by the time he gets to 3B, the warrants course, he's already done 1 million platoon attacks. Now he just has to do one as the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now he just has to do one as the platoon warrant. Easy. These aren't hard courses that we go on, as long as you've got the reps and sets underneath of you.
Right.
And as long as you've been paying attention to what's been going on around. Dudes who put on the blinders and just slug it out, those are the dudes who have issues when they go on those courses, because they haven't been paying attention to the reps and sets that they've been doing. They've just been doing the heavy lifting.
100%. And I did that for most of my courses going through my career. I'm not going to lie. Like, even PLQ, I tried preparing for it, but it was pretty overwhelming to go from a 2.5-year private reservist to go and now like expect to be leading, veterans at the very least, to put it that way, and not having all those reps in all that skill. And that skill feeds into confidence. And so I was lacking a lot, man, and I had to make up for a lot in those 3 months on my leadership course back then. But talking about that stuff, when it comes to learning, I think as a leader, it's important to understand that everybody can learn a little bit differently, and that sometimes you actually do have to adapt to certain individuals' needs to some degree. I mean, if it's very important information, and this is like in the context of preparing to deploy to war, I think it's very important for you to perhaps take the time to maybe adapt to that person's needs. Like I was saying it before, our PLQ course, it's not a very lengthy version of Teachers College or anything like that. So we have to do our best to extract the best teaching methods for us. And that comes with reps. You know, teaching is the best way to become a better teacher. I feel like.
I think we do that really well in infantry as well, because as soon as you're done POQ, now you're instructing on basic machine gun, lab driver, whatever it is that you're qualified in. Now you're going to instruct on that.
Yeah. And it's very common for our career progression
reps.
to go to the schools.
Yep, for sure. Reps and sets again, right?
Yeah.
We're doing that all over. And then you learn as you're doing it, like when is it appropriate to inject humor into a class to get people to remember what's going on, right?
Yeah.
You learn that. When is it appropriate to use the whiteboard? When is it appropriate to stick to the thing? When is it appropriate to make someone read from the class? You learn all that as you're going through the reps and sets, and you become a better instructor each course you go on.
100%. Okay, we've been talking for a lot, and I am very looking forward to hopefully having you back as a second guest. So I'm gonna blast through some of these questions. I'm not gonna blast them. I'm gonna actually
rapid fire round.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna. Yeah. Let's. Yeah. You know what? We'll do rapid fire.
Okay.
Okay. So, is unit pride important to you?
Yes.
Why?
Competition. If the unit's good and we compete against other units, it only makes this unit better.
Right on.
Right. Sometimes I don't think we compete with the appropriate unit. Just because 3rd Battalion is down the road and they wear a similar t-shirt doesn't mean we always have to compete with 3rd Battalion. Right? We're a mechanized unit. We should be competing with another mechanized unit. There's one right across the street.
Fair enough.
Just saying. Next question.
Can we improve on our ability to value heritage at 1RCR?
Value heritage. So you have to...
Because in battle school, you go to the museum.
You do. Yeah. So you have to make it relevant to what you're doing in the present.
Because time is valuable to us.
Time is valuable to us. Yeah. But so if you're just like the Battle of Saskatchewan, and everybody's like, why do we give a shit about the Battle of Saskatchewan? That doesn't make any. We killed a bunch of First Nations people. That was inappropriate. We should be celebrating that. So you have to make it relevant to what you're doing. So when we talk about heritage, it has to be something that people can relate to. So I think not necessarily going way back and celebrating the stuff that's way back, because that's important too, because you have to remember where you came from. Right? As long as you remember where you came from, then you can sort of guide you to where you're going. But if you're looking too far back, that's too long of a timeline, right? So looking back at Korea, I think we do a really good job at that, right? Like Kwanzaa and stuff like that, right? Having those historical briefs, like this is what we did on this date, and people can see. I really like the map models we do for that one too, because it shows the terrain that we were in. It's crazy. Where am I going with this? I don't even know. But making it relevant to what we're doing now is going to improve our ability to celebrate our heritage, I think. Next question.
Okay, tattoos. Do you have any?
Yes.
Okay. Do tattoos mean something important to you?
So I have a Bravo Company tattoo.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yo, what is it?
It's not an official Bravo Company tattoo. Like you see the sword and the wings that are on yours. So I have an angel of death on my shoulder.
Okay.
And it's got the same shape of wing, and he's carrying the same sword that's in that symbol
right on.
So it is a Bravo Company tattoo, but it's not a Bravo Company tattoo.
It's a cultural tattoo for Bravo Company. Yeah, right on. That's wicked.
Other than that, the only other meaningful tattoo I have is that one right there.
Okay.
Which is a crown. It looks exactly like the one from the Cat Badge, but it's got the date of my wedding anniversary on it.
Okay.
So my wife has a similar tattoo. It's a smaller crown, obviously. Yeah. And she's got the same thing. So
that's awesome.
Tattoos,
It kind of established that camaraderie between you and your wife.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And tattoos are... A lot of people shit talk tattoos. And a lot of people are... they've changed regs for tattoos, right? And they get upset about it. tattoos on the neck and tattoos on the head, but tattoos were a big deal back in the day, right? For sailors, would show where they'd traveled. It's a story of where that sailor has been, right? So tattoos on a modern warrior shows where that warrior has been. That's the story of his life, right? So like moto tattoos of RCR flags and Canada flags and company tattoos and all that stuff. That just shows you where that guy's been. That's the map of his adventure, right?
Yeah.
If he's doing that. If not, it's just art, and art's cool too.
We kind of covered that idea of, I think we covered humility a bit throughout the conversation. So I'm going to keep forward and let's talk about why do you still serve?
Okay, so why I still serve is, we talk about this as a platoon and 7 platoon. It's to pass on, like we were talking about before, right? Parental figures. It's not to hang out with the buddies and be a comrade to these guys. It's to take the knowledge that I've gained over 20 years and now pass it on to them. Because I think the knowledge that I have has been gained through other people passing it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason that I'm still here, that I'm still in one piece, is because that knowledge has gotten me this far, right?
100%.
So to take that knowledge and then turn around and not pass it on, to hold it to myself, would be doing everyone below me, everyone that works for me, an incredible injustice, and doing this unit an injustice, because there's things that I know that would benefit not just those guys below me, but the unit as a whole.
Like one of my role models that I look up to that really played a big role in kind of like getting my shit together, to say, a guy named David Goggins. And like this guy dropped a line that I really respect in terms of what he feels like it's his obligation, his duty to share with everybody what he's overcome, and that you are able to achieve this. And essentially it comes down to passing that knowledge through those experiences you've endured and overcome. And I definitely think that plays a huge role into that feeling that you have, that you need to share this knowledge, this obligation maybe that you feel like you got. I respect that. I feel the same way too. I had the intentions of serving overseas, when I first joined in 2010. And continuing my career, I started to realize, man, there's a lot of value in being in the infantry. Not even necessarily being in a combat era in the infantry, but the things that we learn here, I think people look at them so superficially. We don't really value the attitude and the perspective that fosters in the type of lifestyle that we have here. And I feel obligated to share that. And I feel like this project is one of those ways where I can share those great things about the attitude and the perspective of the infantry, of people like yourself and the many others. So yeah, thank you for sharing. I want to ask you one final question, and that's just, do you have any future aspirations right now in your career?
So my career plan right now is to claw my way to MWO.
Okay.
Over the bodies of my peers. Claw my way up there. Get to MWO. Yeah. I'd like to be a company sergeant major.
Oh yeah. That'd be awesome.
And then if I can't progress past that, and I don't think I will, but if I can, I would. If I can't progress past that, to commission to captain.
Right on.
Right, and then ride those 10 captain pay incentives.
Hey.
Into the sunset. You know
yeah. I mean, that's a good way to play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The CFR program.
That's my ultimate career intention.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of NCOs ideally do that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of NCOs.
It's not unheard of, for sure.
No, for sure. Yeah. I think that's a good game plan. You know what? We've been talking for a long time. And
3 hours.
Yeah, I want to bring you back again. There's so much to say, so much to share. I just want to thank you for taking the time to come out here, come online, out of your busy day, take you away from your family and your duty to your men and the soldiers that serve under your command. I just want to share with the audience, like, if you're not aware already why we do this project and why Project Warrior exists. As a person, I feel like it's my duty and my obligation, as I mentioned earlier, to share the great and powerful stories, to share the people, the veterans that exist in our community at 1RCR, that exist in our community of the RCR in general, across the country, across the world, that are deployed right now as I speak. it's important to me. It's important for me to share. It's important for me to try to foster better leaders. I've learned a lot from good leaders. I've learned a lot from bad leaders. And I feel like those lessons, we shouldn't forget them and let them go to waste, especially from people who have been in extreme, unique situations like combat. I feel empowered talking to Warrant Officer LeBlanc. I feel empowered meeting all these veterans, and I hope that the members in the 1st Battalion can really extract the same value that I feel. And without blabbing too much about this, I want to thank everybody for listening, for tuning in. These are long podcasts, and I know it can be difficult to hear. But if there's anybody out there that'd be interested in coming online and sharing from the RCR community, absolutely looking forward to have amazing guests coming on and share your service and your perspective on the concepts that affect our job. At the end of the day, this is to enable the fighting soldiers of the 1st Battalion and the RCR in general, and to enable better people. And I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank you again, Warrant LeBlanc, for coming online. And if you have any final closing remarks, please.
I don't know. It's a team sport. Treat it like it, right? These aren't people to be stepped on. These are your teammates, and they'll either help you succeed or they will ensure that you fail. So, team sport.
Right on. Thank you. All right. This is Master Corporal Singh. This was episode 4 of Project Warrior. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Out. All right. Let's get a picture for this thumbnail.
Sure, man.
Let's do it.
That was excellent.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.